little or no playoff shots that are still playing very hard in December. We mentioned some of those teams a couple of moments ago. You mentioned Philadelphia. That's what football's about. That's the Christmas spirit, trying to do your best. We hope you enjoyed Week 17 of NFL Primetime. For Tom Jackson, for the vacationing Robin Roberts, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching. We have football here Sunday night, and it's a good one. The Kansas City Chiefs vying for a home field advantage in the playoffs. They've won the West. Can they keep it going? They are at Minnesota against the Vikings, very much alive for the playoff hunt as well. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann on the call from the Homer Dome. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Chris. And this is the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where a sellout crowd of 63,000 will see a game with major playoff implications as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Minnesota Vikings.
Listen, come on, Rudolph,
I made you some tea, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get too comfortable. You need to read the letter on the table.
Oh, but the game, Mama.
Santa, football can wait.
All right. Dear Santa, I'm writing on behalf of 52 friends. We've been very good this year. Once in a while, we're bad. Sometimes we get naughty. But usually, we're very nice. We have these wishes: goodwill, peace, and joy to all men. Good health, especially for Joe. And most of all, a trip to the Super Bowl. Sincerely, Derek Thomas. Kansas City in the Super Bowl? Mama, get the elves. Let's saddle up. Rudolph, turn right. We're not going to Buffalo.
The Kansas City Chiefs have already clinched the AFC West for the first time since 1971, with both the Broncos and the Raiders losing earlier today. And they still have a chance for a home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The Vikings control their own destiny. By winning their last two games, they are assured of a wild card spot. With Green Bay and Detroit both winning today, the Vikings can no longer win their division, though. Good evening, everybody. Mike Patrick along with Joe Theismann. Great to have you with us. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Last week's come-from-behind victory gave Kansas City its fourth straight 10-win season. It's a franchise record. But that success in the last 3 years hasn't carried over to the playoffs. So they began their postseason preparation a little early this year, spring, in fact, when they signed a pair of future Hall of Famers, Joe Montana and Marcus Allen.
And, Mike, you know, these two guys have defined their career by big performances in big games. For example, Marcus Allen is out proving what he said all along. Give me a chance to carry the football, I can make something happen. He leads the Chiefs in rushing. He leads the AFC in touchdowns. Joe Montana, on the other hand, is considered the missing piece of Kansas City's Super Bowl puzzle. And they felt all along that they had the talent on this team, except they just needed a quarterback. Now, Joe has to stay healthy, which he has. And, oh, by the way, Mike, these two guys really know how to win in December and January, too.
Well, winning is the single reason that Jim McMahon was brought to Minnesota by head coach Dennis Green, but he is an enigma. His stats don't show his value, but somehow, when he plays, the Vikings are better.
Well, you know, Mike, Dennis Green didn't bring Jim McMahon here to throw for 300 yards. What he did is he brought Jim McMahon here, first of all, to win games in the NFC Central, which he has. He's 6-0. The second reason he brought him here is to get this team into the playoffs, which he has. Dennis Green feels that Jim McMahon is playing his best football right now, and he's going to have to for the Vikings to have a chance against the Chiefs.
Dennis Green near the end of his second year with a chance for back-to-back playoff appearances. He led the Vikings to a division title as a rookie head coach. And Marty Schottenheimer in his 5th year with Kansas City, and this season will mark his 4th straight playoff appearance. You hear so much about the home field advantage in football? Not this year. The Vikings, 4 straight losses at home. That is a franchise record for this club. And on display tonight, some of the best sack men in the business. Neil Smith from Kansas City. His counterpart on the other side, Derek Thomas. And for the Vikings, John Randall, power from inside. And the speed rush of Chris Dolman. Kansas City Chiefs have won the toss and will receive as we start our ball game, and Fuad Reveiz has it teed up at the 35. He has not been able to reach the end zone very often this year. Danon Hughes and Todd McNair are back.
You know, Mike, these Kansas City Chiefs are really dangerous on AstroTurf, especially when it's dry and sticky like it is here in the Dome.
Reveiz, a line drive kick, and that one will go out of bounds and give the ball to Kansas City at its 35-yard line. When Joe Montana has been healthy, he's been exactly what the Chiefs had hoped for. 7-2 as a starter, 12 touchdown passes, only 4 interceptions. Marcus Allen is not just playing out the string. He's become a go-to guy again, especially if you need points. He scored 15 touchdowns. John Alt finally made the Pro Bowl last year, even though he had played better in the past. This season, he's back among the elite of the league's pass blockers. Montana to throw on first down. The short dump off complete to the tight end, Jonathan Hayes, and he's taken down at the 40. Let's look at the Viking defense. John Randall led all interior linemen in sacks last year with 11. Amazingly didn't make the Pro Bowl. This year he's even better with 11.5 sacks. Jack Del Rio might be the best Plan B acquisition anybody in the league made. 147 tackles to lead this defense. And Vincey Glenn, another veteran acquisition 2 years ago, 10 interceptions in that span, 5 this year. He's tied for 4th in the conference. Montana has it picked off. Intercepted by Anthony Parker. Only the 5th time this year Montana has been intercepted, and Anthony Parker, a young man who led the World League in interceptions when he played there.
He's a third-year man. Arizona State came here from Indianapolis in a Plan B acquisition. He just reads Joe's eyes, moves right in front of the receiver, makes the pick. Kansas City fans are looking at this game and saying this strongly resembles the start against San Diego last week when Joe got his first one picked off.
They went down 17-0 and then had to fight back to win that ball game. And a great start for the Vikings at their own 49. Gordon McCarter, the referee.
Please reset to 25. Reset to 25 on the play clock. Thank you.
That's the 8th interception for the Chiefs this year. Now, that's the second fewest in the league as a team to Dallas. Of course, Troy Aikman having an MVP season.
Scotty Graham will get the carry, maybe about 2 yards. Take a look at the Minnesota offense. Jim McMahon does not rack up the big numbers except for one. 70% of his starts have been wins, second only to Joe Montana. Scotty Graham, the latest in the succession of Viking running backs this year, but no lack of success. He had 139 yards last week. Up front, Tim Irwin makes his 180th consecutive start tonight, tying the legendary tackle Ron Yeri. He hasn't missed a start in 11 years since they built this indoor facility. McMahon throws short and complete Chris Carter down to the Kansas City 43-yard line, a couple of yards short of a first down. Albert Lewis on the tackle.
Dale Carter, Albert Lewis, the corners of the Chiefs, they play everybody physical and tough. Look at what Carter and Lewis are locked up in. I mean, obviously you're allowed to chuck within 5 yards. I don't think you're allowed to maul in 5 yards, and Albert Lewis just did a mauling. But still, I mean, he wasn't holding him. He just kept contact on him, and that is legal.
Very physical defense. McMahon to throw on 3rd and short. Deep sideline, Ismail. He made the catch, first down. The rookie from Syracuse.
Right part of your screen. Now, keep an eye on the footwork at the end of this play. Look at the job. Nice throw by Mack, but look at the job by Ismail. 1 down, 2 down drag. He has really started to develop into a clutch wide receiver. Good reception, first of all. Left foot, right foot drag. Very well done.
McMahon under pressure from Thomas, got it off, but incomplete. Good coverage by the linebacker Tracy Rogers on tight end Steve Jordan. The crowd wanted a flag. They won't get it. For Kansas City, Neil Smith has used his speed and strength to become one of the game's most feared players. He leads the NFL in sacks with a career-high 15. Derek Thomas had 14.5 sacks last year, equaling his average of his first 4 seasons, but the number is down this year, 8 through 14 games. Pro Bowl corner Albert Lewis has had at least 1 interception in each of his last 5 and has 38 for his brilliant career. 2nd and 10, Vikings in Kansas City territory after the turnover. McMahon to Scotty Graham out of the backfield. And Lewis has had a busy first quarter. Takes him out of bounds with what appears to be just shy of a first down.
You know, Mike, Minnesota's game plan tonight is that they have got to be productive on 1st and 2nd down. Because of the physical nature and the coverability of the corners of the Chiefs, they know that they can wind up in 3rd and long situations. McMahon had 3 touchdown passes last week, only has 6 for the season, but has shown the kind of production that they've expected from him because he has a complementary running game and short passing game.
3rd and short, they just haven't gotten it done this year. That goes back to all the injuries at running back. They'll try it again, and Graham diving forward looks like he has the first down. Terry Allen, of course, hurt in preseason. Robert Smith was hurt. They've used Barry Word, Roger Craig, and here is a young man, a free agent out of Ohio State, actually the 5th guy they've tried in this spot, and he is doing the job. And they will measure.
Okay, this is my just before the new year prediction. They made it by about 4 inches. We haven't had a lot of these this year, Mike.
No, we haven't. And in response to a flood of letters, you will not sing this week either.
Thank you very much. They did make it. All right, a little bit more than 4 inches. But Dave Adolph, the defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, put in really a 4-3 defense. When they got Joe Phillips from San Diego, they really felt like he was the guy who could anchor the middle for him and allow Sally Muta to move around and make some plays.
Graham on the delay. To the 10-yard line. Dale Carter spun him down, but Scotty Graham running hard and showing some speed to the outside.
I'll guarantee you what this is, Mike. Lonnie Marks, number 51, misjudges Scotty Graham's speed. But the Minnesota Vikings are a very trap-oriented offense. Watch this. They're going to pull and trap this way. He's going to come up, and Graham's going to swing it outside. Here comes the trap, but now you see when March closed, I don't think he gave Graham enough credit for having the speed to get outside.
Graham again cuts it outside. This time gets only a yard. Here is a young man who was working in a pharmacy and was a substitute teacher when he was signed to the ball club. Now, you don't think this has been a great Christmas for him?
Unbelievable. And you know, it's funny. When we talked to Marty Schottenheimer last night, he says he wishes he was back selling pharmaceuticals instead of playing football for the Vikings. You know, he's a really aggressive runner, and I think that's what Dennis Green likes about him. He doesn't dance around. He finds a hole, and wham, he hits it.
Second down from the 9. AC can't get there. Nice coverage by Dale Carter.
Jim McMahon was going there right from the get-go. He got his you know, the thing that Dennis Green talked about earlier, Mike, is pre-reads by Jim McMahon. What he can do, what he sees before the snap of the ball. He knows he's got AC one-on-one on Carter out to the left. You see him look to the right. There was no doubt he was going left. He just looked away to set the pass up. Just hung it out over AC's fingers.
Third down. AC comes to the near side again. Chris Carter in the slot to the top of your screen. Here come the Chiefs on the blitz. And overthrown. Jordan, the intended receiver, at the 7-yard line. They'll have to settle for a field goal try. Charles Mincy, the safety blitz.
I think this is a great move when you've got physical corners that you can let go one-on-one. Watch the safeties. Here they are. They're going to come in and fill the gaps. They don't have enough people up front to block everybody, so somebody's going to come free. There's the free man. The back can't get over. McMahon does exactly what he should do. Try and get to an outlet man. Wouldn't have been a touchdown, but he saves a sack.
This will be from 27 yards for Fuad Revay. And they'll never get it off. Movement up front.
Neil Smith, number 90, just a little bit anxious. Now they're trying to decide which one. It's against the Chiefs, just a question of who.
Encroachment before the snap. Middle guard on the defense. Half the distance. Still 4th down.
Looked like Neil Smith was not in total agreement with the call.
There he is in the middle, number 90. What he did is, see, he saw movement by the center, though. I tend to agree with Neil on that one. He saw movement, reacted to the movement by the center, and made the move. Now, obviously, nobody else saw that as far as the officials go.
That will take it down to a 22-yard field goal. Still 4th down just inside the 5. And Fuad Revay has now hit 28 straight inside the 40-yard line. Joe Montana, with only his 5th interception, sets up the field goal. 3-0 Vikings early first quarter. Dennis Green was a 49er coach in Joe Montana's glory years. Here's how he thinks you have to defense the 3-time Super Bowl MVP.
Because Joe is a master of the pre-snap look, you have to make him concentrate on that pre-snap look longer. If you're tipping off your coverage because of a personnel, could be a defensive end. If you're tipping off your coverage because of a linebacker, if you're tipping off your coverage because of the way the cornerbacks play, before the ball's even snapped, you really have problems. So we have to make sure that Joe has to read the coverage on his drop and not be able to take advantage of a pre-snap look.
And yet throughout his career, he's probably seen every trick you can throw at him. Damon Hughes with the return across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. Joe, what do you think of the idea of everybody being in exactly the right place for a pre-snap read?
Well, they don't actually, Mike. Not everyone has to be in exactly the right place. A lot of times, either a safety or a corner will give you an idea whether it's man-to-man or zone. That tells you a side of the field that you want to work to based upon what your pass routes are. So you're not necessarily having to look at a lot of people. All you have to do is look at one. Now you see as Joe Montana comes out of the huddle, he's surveying where the safeties are located. Now this looks like a 2D coverage to him. So he's got a play that he feels will work against it.
Marcus Allen with his first carry to the 26-yard line. A man whose career was in the doldrums in Los Angeles for 2 years with great disfavor with Al Davis. They were really going after each other. Finally got the chance to play for someone else and has proven, as you said earlier, what he had said all along. He can still play. 11th all-time rusher. He scored 15 touchdowns this year. A remarkable comeback season for him. Kimball Anders, the fullback, wrapped up by Del Rio. Be about 2 yards shy of a first down. Of course, one thing that the Minnesota Viking defensive line will miss tonight, the presence of nose man Henry Thomas and Esra Tuaolo, who started a week ago against Green Bay in his spot in the middle of that Minnesota defense. Henry Thomas on the sideline. And a new acquisition, Bobby Abrams, number 50, has checked into the Minnesota defense on 3rd and short. Montana to throw for it. Has time. Anders to the 39. It's a first down. Carl Lee made the tackle on Kimball Anders.
Carl Lee on the tackle. That's a Chiefs first down.
I think what distinguishes Joe Montana from so many other quarterbacks in the league is his ability to find secondary receivers. He fakes the draw, looks down the field, doesn't have what he wants. Now he steps up, realizes he only needs 3 yards for the first down. I'll take the fullback out in the flat, pick up the first down, and let's move the chains.
John Stevens, number 21, is the new running back. He's the deep man, and he'll get the carry. Stevens barrels his way out to the 45-yard line. If you remember the name, but you haven't heard about him for a while, he was out of New England, where he had such a great rookie year. Made the Pro Bowl with over 1,100 yards rushing, and has knocked around ever since, and they were very happy to pick him up.
The reason they were happy to pick him up is because his last stop was Green Bay, where he got familiar what we will call the West Coast system. Green Bay, San Francisco, Kansas City all run it.
2nd and 4. Allen diving forward, a little shy of the sticks, it appears.
You know,
the 49.
I get so excited when I see Marcus run. He has a signature way of running the football. Everybody's got a little thing that they have of their own. Tony Dorsett had a great lean. Emmitt Smith has a great lean. Marcus Allen, what he does is he will always finish going forward. Even if you trap him for what looks like a 3-yard loss, it's only going to wind up as a 1 because he finishes going forward.
Tim Grunhard had said he is the kind of player every team needs, whether he plays well or not. He's a great leader. Allen, first down into Minnesota territory.
Boy, did Al Davis make a big mistake. He really did. I mean, they went, you know, he was unselfish blocking for Bo Jackson. He did all the things that was required. There's a guy for the Los Angeles Raiders who was voted by his teammates for 3 years in a row as the toughest guy on the football team. I think the Raiders made a big mistake not giving him a chance to play football and be the consummate Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, and professional that he is.
Well, for years, he didn't make a peep about the way he felt he was being treated. Todd McNair now checks in as the single setback on 1st and 10, rather. McNair on the toss sweep. Line of scrimmage and no more as the Vikings swarm. John Randall led the charge.
It's interesting what Joe Montana's decided to do, and Paul Hackett, the offensive coordinator. They started the game throwing the football. Joe's receivers and everybody, they're still learning. So Joe figures if Dennis is going to play games with him, they got a big offensive line against a quick defensive line without Henry Thomas. Let's run the ball and use a 3-yard first down philosophy.
2nd and 10 here. Montana swarmed under. The sack goes to Dolman. Bobby Abrams, number 50, also applying pressure. And Dolman now has 12.5 sacks.
A couple of different ways linemen get sacks. They get it because of great pressure and beating the people up front, or the secondary does a great job of coverage. Here's a case where Chris Dolman doesn't quit. Montana steps up. Dolman finishes him off, gets credit for the sack. Great job by the secondary of the Vikings.
And John Alt will probably be going man-to-man without any help against Dolman all night. That was not his fault. Allen on 3rd and long, absolutely nothing. John Randall wrapped him up behind the line of scrimmage.
John Randall has 11.5 sacks, but he also is a run defender. Number 93 right in the middle. Right there. He's just going to fire right through. You see him get the penetration, and that's what creates problems. That's what Tim Grunard, their center of Kansas City, was telling us last night. That's the thing that concerned him.
Brian Barker comes on to punt. And Anthony Parker waits at his 10. Returnable kick. All the way up to the 22. And there's a flag on the play. A 33-yard kick, a return of 6. We'll check the penalty. Eric Anderson, downfield on special teams, made the stop. And a solid one it was. Indication it is against the Vikings.
And a holding call against the Vikings.
Holding number 91 receiving team during the kick. 10 yards from the spot of possession change. First down.
Greg Minuski, the special teamer, he's called for the hold. One of the league's tough guys trying to talk his way out of a penalty. It won't work. 3-0. Back in a moment. 3:52 to go first quarter. Minnesota leading Kansas City 3-0. Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann with you the day after Christmas. Happy holidays to you and yours.
Happy holidays. Hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas. I know that there are some teams out there that looked under their Christmas tree and saw some victories today that really makes it a great New Year and playoff opportunity.
That was Bernard Daphne, the left tackle. He started the last couple of weeks in place of rookie Everett Lindsay, who's hurt. It's the time of the year when people have to fill in and step up. Graham on the carry. And everybody waiting for him. Tracy Rogers makes the stop. Last week, the Vikings got some outstanding production out of their offensive line, a season high in rushing. They did not allow a sacks against the Green Bay Packers, who had a ton of them today.
The Vikings in general as an offense are not a fast offense, and I think they play well like they did in conditions last week in Green Bay. On turf like this, I don't know whether it suits them offensively to be as productive.
2nd and 9, McMahon to throw, 4-man rush, dumps it short, Jordan. The tight end has the first down after the 24-yard line. Again, Tracy Rogers had to make the tackle.
See, I think Jim McMahon needs a running game to be functional. I think in this game, you can use the running game to offset the pass rush and utilize. I think he's got to throw first like this. This is great. They work Jordan underneath the linebackers. He finds the crease, picks up 11 yards. And that's all they want to do is move the chains. Keep Montana on the sidelines, move the chains, put points on the board.
For Jordan, his 51st catch. He had only 28 last year. And Neil Smith, who leads the NFL in sacks, loading up. Play action. McMahon on the roll to Derek Tennell. To the 39-yard line. Martin Bayless made the stop. But the tight ends have already had a featured spot in the Minnesota offense.
Well, I think they have to. I don't think you're going to get a lot of passes completed to the wide receivers. This is an excellent job of play fake. That's what happens when you can run the football. Bayless comes up to try and make a play. Tennell makes the catch, and they wind up with another first down, working it inside the numbers.
First and 10 for the Vikings.
Back to a 3 wide receiver set, and Jordan a single tight end. Graham a single running back. And Scotty Graham straight ahead. Found a seam, got it out near the 45-yard line. Tripped up by Derek Thomas, who came back from his rush linebacker spot.
Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator. They finally have the offense. Brian told me they finally have the offense they thought they would have once they got settled down. That is, McMahon's healthy, using his smarts, and he's got a running game to support him so he doesn't wind up in long yardage situations on 3rd down.
2nd and 4 here. Graham behind Tennell. Sandwiched as he got to the 47-yard line. Lonnie March, the first man to hit him, number 51.
The Vikings are one of the few teams left in the National Football League that employ some type of a trapping offense. What's going to happen is you're going to see again, you're going to see the movement this way by the interior line, and you're going to see somebody get kicked out. There goes the guard, pulls, kicks out. Tennell kicks out. Scotty Graham has really made a reputation for running inside, but tonight he must feel pretty quick because he's bounced 2 outside.
3rd and 2 for the Vikings at their 47.
3rd and 2. The Vikings trying to continue this drive. They were very impressive the first time they had it. McMahon, seeing the play clock run down, uses a timeout. 3-0 first quarter. Minnesota leads at 3-0 over Kansas City with 22 seconds to go here in Minneapolis at the Metrodome. And the passing yards so far, 54-10 for Kansas City. 1 turnover in the ballgame. That was a Joe Montana interception. Only his 5th of the season. On the sideline talking with Dave Craig. 3rd and 2 for the Vikings. 4-man rush. McMahon steps up in the pocket, tries to run for it. He'll be very, very close depending on the spot. He doesn't run nearly as much as he used to, but he's still effective.
And he's going to get a first down. All he had to do was get to the 50, and he got it.
That is a Viking first down.
You know he would have loved to play football in the 40s and 50s without a face mask. He's that kind of guy. That's the end of the first period. 3-0 Vikings. Metrodome, and now a word from our resident wise man, Mr. Ross Perot.
Ross here to tender season's greetings to you and yours. Now, down to business. McMahon and Montana, these two have about as much in common as Democrats and Republicans, with one exception. These guys get it done. Here's the deal. With Montana at QB, the Chiefs are 7-2. Without him, 3-2. McMahon, same difference. Vikes with him, 6-3. Without him, 1-4. Friends, I call this product enhancement. History bears me out. When the rubber meets the road, you can't find a better pair. Bottom line is the bottom line. Ain't that right, Mike?
He calls me Mike. I call him Mr. Perot. That's relative of our status.
I didn't realize you two guys were such close friends.
Only from my end. 1st and 10 Vikings. Play action, McMahon. He'll run it again. And gets 5 and slides safely into second base. They have both been extremely successful throughout their careers. The top 2 winning percentages, Montana over 72, McMahon nearly at 70. But certainly Pro Bowls, Super Bowls, and 300-yard games, the huge advantage to Joe Montana.
Well, I think the last 2 Pro Bowls and 300-yard games really are a product of the system.
Exactly.
You get voted to the Pro Bowl by putting numbers up, and that's the same way you get 300-yard games.
2nd and 5. Graham hit by Thomas and Rogers.
What Jim McMahon has always been a part of as far as offensive philosophy goes is run the ball and let me throw for production. And that's exactly what he's done as a pro. Now in college, of course he has the ability to throw. 84 TDs, 34 interceptions, and a passing system at BYU. Jim McMahon could have the big, huge numbers, except he just never has been given an opportunity to.
But despite the system, he has still posted the wins. Good protection again. McMahon throws complete, first down at the 32. Chris Carter covered by Kevin Ross, but McMahon squeezed it in there and took a shot for his trouble.
You can't beat these corners vertically, and Kevin Ross is a corner. What's going to happen is the Vikings are going to have to run routes across the field, clear people out, run the ball across the field, make the corners chase you. Don't allow them to go out and just jam you. Carter comes across. Now you see, now you make them chase you. Clean it out and go across the middle of the field. That's what you want to do.
And McMahon has to use yet another timeout. Their second here early in the first half. We'll be back to Minneapolis in a moment.
Now for the Levi's Loose Jeans Player of the Day.
When you're a cornerback and you return not one, but 2 interceptions for a touchdown, as Eric Allen of the Eagles did against the New Orleans Saints, making it 4 for the year, tying yourself with Ken Houston and Jim Kearney for an NFL record. That's why, Mike and Joe, you're the player of the day.
Boy, he deserved it too, didn't he, Chris? Just a brilliant season for Eric Allen. Coming up, the Thrifty Car Rental Bowl Week. Begins Tuesday night at 8. First of 6 straight days of bowl action. Liberty Bowl as Louisville battles Michigan State. Wednesday night then at 7:56. The Copper Bowl, number 20, Kansas State against Wyoming. Thursday night at 8, the Holiday Bowl, number 11, Ohio State against BYU. Friday afternoon, 12:30, the Independence Bowl, Virginia Tech and Indiana. Friday night at 6, the Peach Bowl, number 24, Clemson against Kentucky. At 9:30, the Alamo Bowl, California against Iowa. And it all ends on New Year's morning, 11 a.m., the Hall of Fame Bowl, number 23, Michigan against North Carolina State. Whew. Jeez. Scotty Graham. Run out of bounds after a gain of a couple. There's a flag down. That's a lot of bowl games, huh?
Mike, if you were a player, you'd be on the bench right now sucking in some oxygen.
Check the penalty for you. And it will go against the Vikings.
And this is what Dennis Green has wanted to avoid. He does not want to get his team in long yardage situations.
Building formation, offense, 2 eligible receivers on the line of scrimmage on the left side of the line. The penalty is declined, 2nd down.
You know, that absolutely baffles me. You come from a timeout on the sidelines. You have all that time for the team to be on the field. You walk into a huddle. You got all the time in the world to call the play in formation, and guys don't get it right. That absolutely baffles me, and I'm sure it baffles Brian Billick as well.
Decline the penalty. So it's 2nd and about 11. McMahon throws the quick slant. It's picked off. Intercepted by Kevin Ross on the ricochet. And Kevin Ross with the 30th interception of his career.
Boy, did Santa Claus drop one in Kevin Ross's lap. This is an excellent ball. This is an excellent thrown ball. It just winds up in the air. Kevin Ross from the safety position is aggressive. Watch the left part of your screen. Here comes the quick post. AC goes off his chest. He doesn't want to get hit. Kevin Ross just happens to be running there. The ball hits him in the chest. Watch this. Up. Hit me in the chest. I'm going to tackle him, and all of a sudden he's got a ball in his hand.
Ross moved to safety, had been a corner, and a brilliant one, and they have some great coverage guys back there now. 1st and 10 from the 27. The fullback, Kimball Anders, fumble. The Vikings have it. Andre McMillan makes the fumble recovery, so turnovers on back-to-back plays.
Roy Barker, number 92, is going to strip him of the ball. You see him do a great job of coming hard inside. That's what that defensive line does. They just rush people and stick their arms out if running backs go by. And McMillan's there to jump on the loose ball.
Vikings set up shop at the 31. Fake the reverse. McMahon deep. Chris Carter. Touchdown! There's a flag down, but it looks like it will be interference against Dale Carter.
Pass interference, number 34, defense, penalty declined, touchdown.
Great throw, great catch.
Good play selection. They fake the reverse to Anthony Carter, and they let Chris run a corner on Dale Carter. It's fake to Carter, Carter cover, Carter catch, touchdown Carter. That's a perfectly thrown ball. Brought it in over the top, let the guy make a play on the ball.
Fuad Reveiz with the point after. And Chris Chris Carter with his 8th touchdown catch of the year. Kansas City defensive backfield huddling on the sideline. They were burned on that one and are down 10-0 early in this ball game. Reves kicking to McNair, who fumbled, and Danon Hughes. And Hughes will take it at the 9. And Hughes back to the 29-yard line.
On this particular replay, the fake by Anthony Carter, McMahon fakes, but watch Derek Thomas. He's barely going to get anywhere. Carter's going to come in, Chris, and head for the corner. The play action and the blocking by the line up front of what really sells this. McMahon has a lot of time to make a great, you know, Jim McMahon really is an excellent passer. He's just been never given an opportunity to show his skills.
McNair, who was in on the kickoff, had fumbled, and Carter, the man, burned for the touchdown. Kansas City has only 30 yards in offense so far. Anders making about 43 in total offense, taken out of bounds by Carlos Jenkins.
Right, that's the Kansas City offense. What we saw in that one stretch in the first quarter where they ran the ball a lot is not Paul Hackett's style, the offensive coordinator, and it's not what Joe Montana does best. He play actions the best in the National Football League. He and Boomer Esiason do. But moving the ball in a rhythm is what he wants to do. And that's what Paul Hackett told me before. I've got to get my offense in some semblance of a rhythm.
Keep it on the ground with John Stevens, and he's shoved back.
John Stevens
And a little pushing and shoving going on. Hope you'll be with us noon Sunday. NFL Game Day. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Chris Mortensen, and Joe Theismann will update you on everything that's going on in the afternoon. Then at 7 prime time, you'll see all the highlights of all the games. Then at 8 o'clock, Joe and I will be at the Astrodome as the Jets, who are still alive, will battle the AFC Central champions, the hottest team in football, the Houston Oilers. And a nice job by Stevens as flags go down. He picked his way through several tacklers.
I just don't see anybody running well wide against either one of these defenses, Mike. They have too much speed to chase the ball to be successful running wide.
And this play will come back. Stevens getting some unusual activity. It only carried twice before tonight.
Holding, number 85, offense, 10 yards, repeat, second down.
There's Marcus Allen on the sideline. We haven't seen him very much at all lately. We understand he is not injured. Got 4 carries for 9 yards early. Marty Schottenheimer says he will see action about 60% of the time in this offense. Montana. Incomplete off the hands of Willie Davis.
They had a chance to take a shot downfield. Davis just doesn't come up with the ball. Excellent job by the offensive line. I mean, they made it a point that they were going to protect their man, Joe. Now, there's Davis. He's going to go for the ball, but he just doesn't make a play. Has a shot at it. I mean, that's the difference between advancing and winning games or struggling is making plays.
3rd and long, the Chiefs, 5th best team in the NFL. And Montana has to use a timeout. And that 40-second clock is driving me nuts. We'll talk more about that as we go along. McMahon and Joe Montana, 2 veteran, very knowledgeable quarterbacks, and yet between them they've burned 3 timeouts here in the first half. Why?
I don't blame the quarterbacks. The 40-second clock has put more pressure on sideline management. Coaches calling plays, signaling them in, and coaches having their packages, their player packages, substituted fast. Marty Schottenheimer, Dennis Green, every coach in the National Football League will do a better job next year once they understand that they're going to have to speed up the packages and the signaling.
3rd and 13 for Kansas City. Excellent protection from Montana, who then goes short to J.J. Burton. And he can't run for it. Knocked out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Anthony Parker made the stop and got some help.
John Alt, number 76, the left tackle, and Chris Dolman, number 56, lock it up here. Alt does a great job of just riding Dolman where he wants to go. He's got a little bit of jersey, not a lot, but he takes him down hard inside, allows Joe to step up to where the throwing lane is and make the pass.
Barker comes on to punt, and Parker retreats inside his 15-yard line. Kansas City had just been unable to move the football. Parker cartwheeled at the 10. There's a flag down on the play back at the 30. Todd McNair with the big hit. 7-yard return after a punt of 50. We'll check the flag with Gordon McCarter.
Illegal block in the back. There's something different.
Illegal block in the back. Number 86 receiving team during the return. Half the distance, first down.
So when Minnesota takes over, they'll be deep in their own territory, leading 10-0. That's the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota. 78 acres. It cost $625 million to build, 325 stores. It has its own theme and amusement park. It is something to behold and has become an enormous tourist attraction in the Twin City area. Vikings from their own 5. Scotty Graham bowls his way out to the 9. Tough run.
You know, Mike,
of the young man from Ohio State.
Kansas City defense, they're catching now. They're catching the Vikings. They're catching the Viking runner. You saw Graham get hit and move ahead. Neil Smith and that defensive line, I don't think they can stop the Vikings run game by having the 4 guys up front. When you've got somebody backed up like this and you got a quarterback that's not real mobile and great corners, I think you've got to blitz them. I mean, you've got to put pressure on them. You have to dictate the tempo. You can't let them do it. Right now, Minnesota's dictating tempo.
2nd and 6 for the Vikings. McMahon on a little half roll to Scotty Graham, and he is wrapped up in a hurry by Lonnie March, the right outside linebacker.
Something else on the Kansas City defense. Derek Thomas is now playing a different position. Derek Thomas is playing what's called the down rush backer, for lack of a better description. They're listed as a 3-4 defense with 3 big guys, but he's really the 4th guy. And I talked to Dave Adolph earlier today, and he said that Derek Thomas makes these big plays when he's rushing the passer, when he's putting pressure on him. His sacks are down, but he's playing an overall better game this year.
He really fought the move. 3rd and 2. McMahon hangs in the pocket. Chris Carter, first down out to the 23-yard line. Charles Mincy made the tackle.
The other thing is Derek Thomas has got such a reputation as a pass rusher. He's not going to get blocked by 1 person. He's going to get blocked by 2. Daphne runs him outside. Scotty Graham runs him a little bit further around McMahon. Jimmy steps up. And the Vikings are executing their game plan to perfection. 3 yards, completion, move the sticks.
The double team is a point that Neil Smith made to us last night. That Thomas hasn't had a chance to get that many sacks because of the blocking. Graham cuts it outside again. And Chris Carter threw him an outstanding block downfield.
And Bernard Daphne on the left side and Mike Tice, number 87, are doing a great job on the left side on Lonnie Marks. That's the 3rd time they've run outside on Marks. There's Tice, there's Daphne. They're going to take the ball and run outside, but there's number 51, Marks. He just is getting eaten up. He closes it down. Daphne just muscles him. He's had outside position all 3 times, and they've run outside him still.
The Vikings have been very impressive on offense and lead 10-0. Graham to the 40-yard line, and that time Tim Newton, number 96, ran right by him.
penalty on the tackle.
Got a player down. Chief is down and hurt pretty bad.
It is Derek Thomas. See if the replay will show us how he was injured.
He does a great job of chasing plays down. Oh, he sticks his head in and just gets bent back a little. You can see his neck gets snapped back.
Well, those are the ones you're afraid to see. Obviously, he's moving around, which is the first sign you look for.
Of course, he was kicking his legs when he was on the ground. I mean, you don't like to see anybody do that, but if you're hitting the head, movement is very important.
It's a young man who was the keynote speaker at the Vietnam War Memorial this past year. His father was a fighter pilot in the Vietnam War, killed over there. Says he wants to go back without a lot of people around and see it for himself, just by himself. And glad to see he's up and able to come off under his own power. It's 10-0 Vikings with 7:27 on a turning clock, first half from Minneapolis. The Vikings looking for 2 wins. If they get them, they're in the playoffs. Graham bobbled the handoff and got about a yard, and that's it. Simeon, the middle linebacker, and Tracy Rogers, the outside linebacker, combined on the tackle.
Tracy Simeon, number 54, is really an underrated linebacker. He's right smack dab in the middle. There he is. Now watch him make the move. He sees this play, he reads it, he comes up, he fills, he makes the initial hit.
Became a starter with his club as a rookie. 6'1", 250. 3rd and 4 for McMahon. They have eaten almost all the time off the first half clock. Kansas City comes with a blitz. They pick it up, and McMahon completes the pass to Ismail, first down.
See, I just don't agree with Kansas City's defensive philosophy in this drive at all. I mean, when you only have 3 yards to pick up and you blitz, that's not a big deal. But what the offensive line is doing is they're giving McMahon a chance to step up and throw the football. Watch how this pocket is formed. See the area that Jim has to step up into? He steps up. I mean, they're running a 3-yard crossing route, and you're just not putting any pressure on the quarterback. You got to do it on 1st and 10, not 3rd and 3.
5:52 to go in the half. Vikings already up 10-0. Scotty Graham to midfield. The word on Derek Thomas, he has a burner in his left shoulder. He will probably be back.
You know, Mike, you look down this offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. Daphne, McDaniel, Schreiber, Kalis, Irwin, Jordan. When Tice goes in there, a lot of experience there. A very, very good offensive line. And when you're running the football, that's the kind of play discrepancy you can create. 31-16 in Minnesota's favor.
And Minnesota comes in ranked 21st in the National Football League in rushing. They're not looking like it tonight. McMahon, smart job, just threw it out of bounds. Dan Saliamua applying the pressure at 300 pounds plus up the middle.
Jim McMahon felt the pressure that time, had to unload it. Look at how wide open Anthony Carter's going to get. Great job of beating Albert Lewis at the line, loses him at the line, loses him out of the route. Unfortunately, McMahon did not have time, and AC looked around and didn't see anybody.
3rd and 6 for the Vikings at midfield.
The Vikings 27th in the league overall. Look at tonight, 6 of 7. They face 3rd and 6 here. 4-man rush, plenty of time, can't find anybody. Now sidearms it to Jordan, and he stopped well short. Nice defense by Doug Terry, coming in on the nickel and dime defense for Kansas City.
That's what Jim McMahon gives you. He avoided the negative play and wound up with just a 1-yard gain, but it wasn't a sack, and it gave the defense not a big lift, didn't give Kansas City a lift. He lets his defense go out on the field and play some more football.
Harry Newsome comes on to punt. J.J. Burden waits at the 10. 4:19 to go in a rapidly moving first half. Newsome, high sailing spiral. Fair catch, made it the 11-yard line. And Burden was bumped. Will it get a flag? It will not. A punt of 37, no return. Joe Montana and his offense down by 10. On the left, Chris Dolman on the right, two of the premier pass rushers in the National Football League. But a discrepancy with how they perform and where.
Well, the thing is, look at the sacks for Dolman at home. 51 and only 36.5 on the road. Thomas, almost twice as much, 45 to 21. That has to do with crowd noise. The tackles cannot hear very well, so they can't hear the snap count. All they can do is focus on these guys. These guys are so quick. Both of them play on AstroTurf, and the crowd gives them that little bit of an edge coming off the ball.
Joe Montana has only thrown for 41 yards in the first half. Chased by Dolman, now chased by Tuaolo, and got out of bounds in front of Carlos Jenkins, who had a bead on it.
Watch Chris Dolman. All he does is take John off and give him a bull rush and just take that one left-handed paw and swat him aside and force Montana out of the pocket for a minimal gain.
Ernie Thompson, 45. John Stevens, 21. Check into the Kansas City backfield. Stevens. No place to go. This Kansas City offense has had no luck running against Minnesota's defense, which allows only 99 yards a game.
Well, the front four are so aggressive. When you try and create a blocking lane, it's filled all of a sudden by one of the tackles. You know, John Randall, for example, 93, he just takes that hard inside, and there's nowhere to go. And what they do is they spill the backs out to the linebackers waiting for them.
Even though these guys will admit they don't think about stopping the run, they're after the quarterback. And they'll have a shot on 3rd and 6. Marcus Allen in the flat. What a play by McMillan. Audrey McMillan with the big stop will force another punt.
Montana reads the defense. As he looks down the field, he sees the drops. He doesn't have what he wants to the left, swings it out to Marcus. You got to figure it's a decent bet one-on-one. McMillan makes the single tackle.
Montana just handcuffed so far in the first half. Barker is on to punt. Parker waits at his own 40. End over end, returnable kick from the 45. Flag is down as he gets to the Kansas City 46-yard line after a 9-yard return. And we'll check the call from Gordon McCarter. We have 2:17 to go in the first half. If you just joined us, it's been all Minnesota offensively and defensively. They lead it 10-0. Penalty will go against the Vikings.
Illegal block in the back, 82 receiving team. During the return, 10 yards, first down.
There's Andre McMillan, who made the big tackle on that last play. He's a young man who was invested in the Houston ghetto apartment building and tried to clean it up and help the people who live there. He said, I have reached a level of personal success in one profession, but I haven't even started fulfilling my purpose as a man. And I'm trying to add happiness to others' lives. And there are so many guys in this league who do so much for so many people that make their lives richer, and you very seldom hear about it. McMahon on first down, the quick out, and Ismail did not go out, and it looks like he's upset at himself.
Well, there's a question of whether McMahon wanted to throw to an area, or was it an audible to an out, or was it a hitch? Now, that's the question. The hitch is a 5-yard stop. An out would be a 5-yard out. You could see Ishmael put his hands up towards his ears. Jimmy audibled. He couldn't hear it.
And that's at home.
Yeah. A lot of guys use hand signals for that. They touch their face mask, they point at their ear or something.
2nd and 10 from the 44. Draw to Graham. Not this time. Sally Amoa wraps him up as he crossed the 45-yard line. And Jim McMahon will go to the sidelines to talk over what they want to try on 3rd and 8. We've hit the 2-minute warning. Still 10-0. 2 minutes to go, first half. Minnesota leading Kansas City 10-0. Coming up at halftime, the fastest 3 minutes in television with Chris Berman. After review, Chris and Tom Jackson take a look at a couple of things, including Sterling Sharp's remarkable performance again. Back to the Metrodome for Joe's first half analysis of this one. Kevin Ross, we're told, has a hip pointer, and his return is in question. Ross moved from corner to safety, really helped the secondary, and had an interception earlier here in the first half. Third and 8, 4-man rush. McMahon intended for Roger Craig, but Benny Thompson covered him beautifully out of the backfield.
Well, Kansas City's defense has done their job. Minnesota's offense, the whole first half, has done theirs. Now is when you get into when Joe Montana has established himself as one of, I mean, he is the greatest that's ever played the game, but in the 2-minute end of half, end of game scenarios, this is where he's again reestablished his greatness.
Harry Newsom into punt. Dale Carter waits at his own 10-yard line with 1:54 to go in the half. No rush. Newsom with a high floating kick. Carter, no fair catch. Broke a couple of tackles, can't break a third. Brought down at the 18. A return of 3. Greg Minuski makes the tackle on special teams. These are the 2 winningest active quarterbacks in the NFL, and McMahon having much the better of it with 117 yards passing to only 44 for Joe Montana. Both have had a pick here in the first half.
And, you know, McMahon's pick really wasn't. That was Anthony Carter short-armed that one. But now what Montana's does, he's got to move the ball in a rhythm down the field.
Plenty of time. Throw short. Complete. Willie Davis will get maybe 6 yards out of it.
It's important for Joe Montana to get a couple of first downs, not just for him, but for his teammates to get a sense that they've got something going. They can't be shut down here.
They have 2 timeouts left. 4-man rush. Montana again short. Kimball Anders.
That's just bad football right there. Kimball Anders had the first down. You got to understand where you are in the field and where you are in the game.
Ran backwards.
He
and
ran
Dave
backwards.
Garnett got him.
Lost 3 yards.
Kansas City burning a lot of time here. Short pass to McNair, and he's knocked out of bounds to the 32-yard line.
See, Ambers cost Joe Montana 25 seconds. If he had gotten the first down, Joe could have run up to the line and spiked the ball. Instead, he's got to redirect people and come up with a 3rd down conversion play. That creates problems for the offense and the quarterback. Now you got 53 seconds. Joe loves to run the quick posts with the outside receivers and the inside receivers out towards the sidelines. It's a part of his offense. He's got to get some pass in here that'll gain 15 or 20 yards.
John Stevens comes in as a running back and goes to a wing. Montana deep over the middle, almost picked again. Right in the hands of Lamar McGriggs, and there's a flag down in the secondary, and Vincey Glenn is going nuts. Vincey Glenn showed us about a 40-inch vertical jump when the flag went down. He went straight up.
Well, Montana tried to get that big chunk that he needed to get his team in position to score. That's a 30-yard penalty if it's going to be roughing. They're probably going to call Vincey for hitting with the helmet. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Because what happens is it's a great job knocking the ball away, and then Glenn's just trying to make a play on the receiver. Now, McGriggs, 37, knocks the ball away. Great job by him. Vincey Glenn just sticks his shoulder in the chest and makes a hit. Now, we don't have replay. You see that? He's not hitting with his helmet. That's just great hard-hitting football.
Oh, unnecessary roughness. Number 25 on the defense.
What they're saying is that play was over. The ball was already knocked down, and Vincey Glenn went ahead and took a shot.
That is absolute hogwash and garbage and baloney.
No, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it. I'm just saying that's what's being called.
That official should pick the flag up. Watch this. This is a great play by McGriggs, and all he does. Heck, if the ball would have gotten to the receiver, it would have been a bang-bang shot by Glenn trying to knock the ball out. Vincey Glenn
you're right about that.
Has every reason to be upset. Every reason.
And he is still burning.
Now the Vikings can't lose their composure. They've got it. All right, a bad call went against them, and Dennis, I agree with you 100%. Chew them out. They deserved it.
But the penalty only moves it out to the 47-yard line because it's not interference. It's a roughing call. Montana under pressure, screen to Allen. Weaves his way through some tacklers, and that's the experience of Marcus Allen. He knew exactly where the sticks were and dove for it to try to get the first down so they can kill the clock again.
And he also waited for his offensive linemen to make blocks. He didn't run away from them like we see a lot of young backs do.
Kansas City has used its second timeout, and the first time tonight they have been able to cross midfield. Of course, this guy always waiting in the wings, the most accurate field goal kicker in the history of the National Football League.
He's 5 for 9 from 40 to 49 yards and 1 for 1 from 50.
Looks like Vincey has calmed down a little bit. He has had a great year with this club. Thought he should have made the Pro Bowl in '87 and '89, but didn't get it. Hopes he'll make it this time. Came in with 5 picks, tied for 4th in the conference.
You know what he is? Everywhere he's been, and people have just sort of phased him out, and he's phased himself back in. He's a big play guy.
Yes, he is.
You know, if there's a big play going to be made in the secondary, you can bet Vincey Glenn's going to be somewhere close by.
And I don't want anybody to make a mistake about that hit. That was a totally legal hit that he had.
Absolutely.
They tell you to see what you hit. He saw it and then destroyed it.
You know, I think the officials have to get used to seeing guys put on good shots. Not every hard hit is not an illegal hit in this league.
Spot the ball just inside the 44-yard line with 36 seconds to go. It is a first down. Montana throws in the flat. He's got the completion to Keith Cash, the tight end. Saw his brother Kerry a week ago in Indianapolis.
Now you got to figure that took 6 seconds. So what's going to happen offensively? Joe's got to figure if he can get it off in rhythm, he can run at least 4 more plays and have 6 seconds left on the clock to try for a scoring opportunity. If he can pick up 5 or 6 yards per play, he's going to gain about 30 yards and be easy field goal range for Lowry.
Montana chase, sidearms it, complete to Hayes. He's at the 34-yard line.
Now I want to explain something. The last time we had the delay, it was not a timeout to Kansas City. It was a measurement that was called. So now they've just used their second timeout. They still have one left.
On that last play, one of the things that they love about Marcus Allen so much is his ability as a blocker in pass protection. And he stood in there against the blitz by Bobby Abrams and stood him straight up.
He's the complete back. There's number 32. He's just going to block. That's what he does. His job is to help out and protect. Slides to the right. Here comes Abrams. Sticks his head in. Does a great job of keeping body position. First of all, Marcus Allen is a future Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Deserves it. Secondly, you don't find many backs in this game today who are total and complete backs. Marcus Allen, Emmitt Smith, Thurman Thomas. They're every down backs. And you can do so much with your offense if you find a guy who will be on the field first, second, and third down.
Just an exceptional athlete. Never had the blazing speed. He got it done with
and never will.
Body lean. Oh, no. He's not going to get it faster.
You know, he's the kind of guy, when I played in the game, I would have loved to have been able to play with. I played with a great one in John Riggins and one in Joe Washington. But he's the kind of guy as a player, you said, boy, it would be great to play with a guy like that.
Montana, after a miserable first half, has hit 6 out of 7 on this drive. 3rd and a yard. First down and more. Barnett dives inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Gain of 15. Dave Garnett makes the tackle on Tim Barnett, and Kansas City will use its last timeout with 12 seconds to go.
Of course, the fans continue to boo every time a timeout is used because of the hit that Vincey Glenn made and was called a personal foul, which it really wasn't.
In case you joined us late, here's the scoring summary of the ball game to get you up to speed. The Vikings jumped on top 3-0. Fuad Reve's 22-yard field goal. It capped a nice drive. That was in the first quarter. And then Chris Carter on a beautiful throw from McMahon made it 10-0 in the second quarter. Kansas City's offense has done nothing in the first half until this drive, and they have just reached the Viking 19-yard line.
I think, Mike, Joe Montana has a couple of options. First of all, I think he's got to throw the ball somewhere into the end zone. Secondly, if he's not there, he's got to throw it away because he can't take a sack. And I'm figuring the best way for him to work would be towards the corners. That way you have a chance to throw it away. You can also allow your guy to make a play.
No timeouts left, 12 seconds to go. Davis and Burden both come to the near side. Viking defense wants the crowd to help them. Montana for the end zone. Flag is down, intended for McNair. But it was covered beautifully by Carl Lee, who just got in the way.
And that's going to be an offside penalty, I believe, possibly against John Alt. Just flinched a little bit before the ball was snapped. Just ever so slightly, but the movement caused the offside.
False start before the snap. Number 76, offense. No time elapsed. Please reset the game clock to 12 seconds. 12 seconds on the clock.
That's a great break for Kansas City.
Well, it is, and Marty's saying go for the field goal right now. It is the right call by the official. This is a great job of watching it. Watch number 76 right there. He just flinches just before. It was, you see, the flinch was so quick you could barely pick it up, Mike. But he did, trust me, he did flinch.
I trust you. Lowry is on the field. I think they made the decision when the clock had gone down to 8 seconds to go for the field goal, and it looks like they will stick with it. Lowry will try from 42. A man who was cut 11 times by 8 different teams early in his career. And he is perfect. And the crowd lets them hear it. It was the penalty that kept that drive alive.
Kansas City offensively executed a drive very well. Minnesota's defense did a great job. And the opportunity for Kansas City was set up by a very, very difficult call. Montana makes the throw down the field. McGreeks knocks it away. Vincey Glenn coming in to deliver a blow on Stevens. And they called unnecessary roughness. I mean, this is a game where people get hit, folks.
The more I see it, the more I agree with your initial point that if Vincey Glenn is playing the man instead of the ball, he never sees the incompletion. He did his job and should not have been penalized.
No, the ball would have been there about the same time. I think Vincey made a great play.
Hope you'll be with us Tuesday night, 7:30, an NFL special for you. For the first time ever, the Pro Bowl selection show with Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, and Joe Theismann. We will exclusively announce this year's Pro Bowl team for both the AFC and the NFC. The first time the fans have had a chance to vote. So see how your choices compare with the players and the coaches. Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern, the Pro Bowl Selection Show. And Tony Dungy, the defensive coordinator, was talking with one of the officials during that pause in the action, and you know he didn't like that call.
Well, you know, you got to understand what's at stake right here. I mean, for the Vikings, they've got to win, too, because the Pack and Detroit are already in. And for Kansas City, sure, they're in the playoffs, but if you're in the AFC, you got to have home field advantage. You don't go very far.
You bet.
I mean, history has proven that unless you can play at home. So, you know, one little play here, one little play there results in points. Doesn't help your side.
Ismail waiting at the 5. Lowry has it teed up with only 9 seconds to go on the clock. Let's see if they'll kick it deep. And Lowry squibs it. Del Rio fields it on the hop inside the 20. And the clock stops with 6 seconds to go. The last scoring drive for the Chiefs, 58 yards, and Lowry finished it off with a 42-yard field goal, a 9-play drive that only took a minute 35. Now, if you're Minnesota, you're going to be happy with the 10-3 lead and just down the ball?
Are you asking or are you telling?
No, I'm asking.
No, I'm telling, yes. Absolutely. You know, you don't want to get cute. You got one timeout left. You're on your own 23-yard line. What you do is you tell Scotty Graham, hey, look, if I'm giving it to you, hold on to it. If I'm Jim McMahon, I kneel down.
Scotty Graham will get it and just plunging forward, making sure to protect the ball. And that'll be the last play. That's the end of the first half. The score, 10-3 Vikings. Let's join Chris Berman for the Acura halftime report.
All right, Michael, thank you. So the Vikings trying to spring an upset on the AFC West champion Kansas City Chiefs, but that would be nothing new in this Week 17, day after Christmas. It was a day in which the Bengals, the Patriots, the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, the Cardinals all won on the same afternoon. You have to go way back in the books to find out when that happened. What else happened? Playoff berths decided. Divisionals decided often when the weather outside was frightful. It's been cold at Rich Stadium before, but never this cold as the Bills hosted the Jets. Wind chill 33 below. Ronnie Lott was stirring up the heat, though, laying out Billy Brooks. The Jets trailed at 16-14 on third down. They ran far away from the goal line to Johnny Johnson. As a result, in the wind, in the cold, Blanchard, 42 yards, no good. Bills win the AFC East for the 5th time in 6 years, beating the Jets 16-14. Santa's elves helping out. Al Davis's Raiders in the cold. It would get colder. Butler the hit. Reggie White looks like he's in the pivot like Bob Lanier. Dishing the ball off to Leroy Butler. Into the stands. Great scene. Packers in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. They whitewashed their Raiders. 28-0. Lions at the Bears. If it was cold at Lambeau, it was cold at Soldier Field. Jim Harbaugh heated it up for the home squad. Bears led the Detroit Lions 14-13. But Eric Kramer to tie a yellow ribbon Halleck. Touchdown. Lions also clinch a playoff berth, beating the Bears 20-14. Colts at the Patriots. Patriots looking to win 3 in a row for the first time since '88. They belted the Colts on the ground. Leonard Russell, 100-yard day. He almost had 100 in the first quarter. Corey Kroom with a view, 23 yards. Leonard Russell in the third quarter pours it on. This team lost 9 games by a total of 40 points. Today, Parcells Patriots win by 38 over the Colts. Falcons at the Bengals. The Falcons lead it late. David Klingler, just before the 2-minute warning, showing some good speed. Safe at the 21-yard line. That sets up Klingler to Carl Pickens. Touchdown. Bengals upset the Falcons. The Bengals have won 2 in a row. They win 21-17. This man, well, let's suffice it to say, he was good. Jim Brown watched his whole team today at least look good. Vinny was great. Testaverde to Keenan McCardle for a touchdown. To McCardle again. Vinny 21 of 23, the best percentage in a regular season game, breaking Kenny Anderson's old mark. The Browns win 42-14. Wade Phillips' Denver Broncos thought they'd have a laugher against Tampa Bay at Mile High, but Craig Erickson did the laughing. Beautiful play to Dave Moore. The Bucs upset the Broncos 17-10 at Denver. Rick Meyer, no time to wallow in the mire for him and the Seahawks. With Warren hurt, John Vaughn got the call, 131 yards rushing against the once formidable defensive-minded Steelers. Meyer, Paul Green, touchdown. Seahawks do what they usually do to the Steelers if the King don't beat them, 16-6. The Saints and the Eagles, Eric Allen. Remember his great return early in the year against the Giants? Well, he picked off not one Steve Walsh pass of the Saints. He picked off 2, both for touchdowns. 4 on the year, tying an NFL mark. The gutty Eagles keep going, beat the Saints 37-26. Dan Reeves' Giants have been the steadiest team in football. But in the sun at Phoenix, they watch Ron Moore and the Cards churn it up on them against in the ground. Moore, 20-yard run, carrying everyone in the end zone as the old MacArthur Lane used to look. Dan Reeves' squad didn't have it today. Cards bring the upset 17-6. Waiting in the wings, the Dallas Cowboys. Emmitt Smith, 153 yards. When the Cowboys played Washington week 1 on Monday night, he wasn't there. Guess what? He was there today. So were the whole Cowboys. Kevin Williams, the punt return, 62 yards. 3rd straight huge win for Dallas. 38-3 over their arch rival Skins. Facing off against the Giants next week. When Tom Jackson joins me when halftime continues. After further review, 2 teams, couple players in the Central that stepped up big. Plus, a word on the Giants-Dallas game. Stay with me.
10-3, Minnesota over Kansas City here at halftime in Minneapolis. Jim McMahon against Joe Montana, and so far, the edge goes to Jimmy Mack.
He really has. Jimmy Mack has done a great job. And as Jimmy Mack goes, so does the running game of the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they have to run the football. Here you take a look at the job that Mike Tice does on Derek Thomas. Derek Thomas has been a non-factor, as has Neil Smith. Does a nice job of running him outside. There's the running game that they need. Now, that allows Jimmy Mack to throw the football. Look at the great job up front that they've done, giving him a lane to step up into and make the throws. That's the reason why the Minnesota Vikings have been able to control the tempo of this game the first half.
And we'll be back with the kickoff to start the second half in just a moment.
The new Accord EX Coupe. There's more horsepower. Handling and comfort are perfectly balanced. It has dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. We've taken it about as far as you can go. The new Accord EX Coupe from Honda.
Minnesota on top of Kansas City, 10-3 as we get ready to start the third quarter play. Jim McMahon directed a couple of very nice scoring drives in the first half, one for a field goal and one for a touchdown pass. Has thrown the ball well and gotten good running production out of his backs. Joe Montana struggled early, but then was very good on the final drive that set up the first Kansas City score, Nick Lowry field goal. Take a look at the halftime stats. Nothing to write home about for either ball club, although you can see the difference, especially in the running game for Minnesota, 68 to 25 yards,
well,
Joe.
I think that's why Minnesota has the lead that they have at 10-3, because they've been able to run the football. And, you know, if you don't have to throw, you basically take Derek Thomas out of a game. And I got to be honest with you, Mike, I am not 100% convinced that Derek Thomas down in a three-point stance is the most effective way to use his ability. Let him stand up, call him a rushman or whatever you want, but let him rush from the 2 stance so he can put some moves on defensive tackles that outweigh him by almost 70, 80 pounds.
Certainly wasn't a move that he embraced. Of course, Neil Smith on the other side has had tremendous success in this particular defense. 15 sacks, leading the NFL.
And he's up against a guy who's just done a great job, Tim Irwin, on that side. I mean, Irwin was looking forward to this game an awful lot, and the quality of player that he was going up against.
Kadri Ismail waiting at the goal line for Lowry's kick, and the third quarter is underway. High and short. Roger Craig, one of the up men, will return. And Craig had his feet knocked out from under him at the 27-yard line.
Scotty Graham coming on, and this is the way he's run the football. 4 to the left, 4 off or 9, I should say, off a left guard. That's 13 to the left side for 50 yards. 3 off the right side, off the guard position. And outside, they haven't gone at all. You can see they want to run left. You know who's over there? Derek Thomas. That's why. What you do is you run at great speed. Don't run away from him.
Well, he's 242 pounds if you can isolate him there. Graham hit in the backfield. They didn't isolate him that time, and he must have heard us talking about.
Well, you know what? He went to the left side that time. Now, there's a switch. I mean, they have the flexibility to move Derek Thomas around. This time, they don't play him on the right. They play him on the left. They try and block. Steve Jordan can't hook him. Irwin tried to pull around. They tried to get outside. But, see, he's a penetrator. And that time, he did a great job of getting up the field.
2nd and 13 after the loss. Play action by McMahon. Nice fake, a lot of patience. Jordan wide open. All the way to the 38-yard line. It's a gain of 38.
Boy, when you can run the football, you run play action, linebackers have to respect it. Little counter action gets the linebackers up. Jordan absolutely has Lonnie Martz lost in coverage. He got behind him, and Martz couldn't find him. Excellent play fake. Scotty Graham sliding through a little hole as a safety valve. Good job by McDaniels.
Minnesota leading 10-3, bidding for more. And McMahon has to use a timeout. With 13:30 to go in the 3rd quarter, the Vikings used their first timeout. Minnesota continues to lead Kansas City 10-3. We're in the 3rd quarter in Minneapolis, and we invite you to join us for Thrifty Car Rental Bowl Week starting Tuesday night at 8. The first of 6 straight days of bowl action. Liberty Bowl as Louisville takes on Michigan State. Then Wednesday night at 8, the Copper Bowl, number 20 Kansas State against Wyoming. Thursday night at 8, the Holiday Bowl, number 11 Ohio State against BYU. Friday afternoon at 12:30, the Independence Bowl, Virginia Tech and Indiana. Friday night at 6, the Peach Bowl, number 24 Clemson against Kentucky. Followed at 9:30 by the Alamo Bowl, California against Iowa. And it all ends New Year's morning at 11 a.m., the Hall of Fame Bowl, number 23 Michigan against North Carolina State. And if you watch them all, send a letter in and we'll send you something. 2 after me. Scotty Graham down to the 32-yard line. Benny Thompson in to make the tackle.
Jim McMahon has been a master so far in this ballgame, spreading the ball around. This is his first half pass chart. Here's where he's concentrated, right under there. And a lot of them have been crossing routes like this. And then when he gets the opportunity, he runs that corner in for the touchdown, and that's the one that Chris Carter caught. I mean, Jim McMahon is playing as close to a perfect football game as you've seen a quarterback play.
2 tight ends in on 2nd and 5, and Scotty Graham behind that big offensive line. Pounds away again down to the 29-yard line.
Martz on the tackle.
The numbers on McMahon had the interception that was not his fault. Bounced right out of the hands of a receiver.
See, the Vikings offense is exactly where they want to be. The Kansas City Chiefs defensively cannot allow the Vikings to continue to wind up with 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 1s. And they're going to have to make some plays on 1st down, not 3rd down.
Play clock down to 5. Here comes the blitz. McMahon with time for the end zone. Chris Carter, touchdown. And Dale Carter is right in the face of the official and gets a flag.
That's just stupid football right there. He slams his helmet down. That's going to get you 15 instantly.
He was a 1/4 of an inch away from the official's face, screaming at him.
Chris Carter and Dale Carter have been hand fighting all day. McMahon just goes back. They're crossing route underneath and just hangs it up. Now there they are. They're in a hand fight. Chris Carter pushes off. You can call it incidental contact, and that's what I think it was. McMahon, perfect throw again. There's the pushing. One-handed leap. One foot down, the other foot down. He jams him once. He puts his hand on him. Now he tries to move his hand. He tries to grab him. I just think that's just a great job by a wide receiver and a perfectly thrown ball.
Chris Carter, 5 catches, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. He scored 4 times in his last 2 games. And Fuad Reveiz gets the point after. The Vikings extend their lead to 17-3. 17-3, that's Dale Carter, who got the penalty after the touchdown, really upset, threw his helmet down. Marty Schottenheimer comes over to talk to him. The one thing you can't do is lose your cool. You've already given up the touchdown. Then he gave up 15 yards extra. And Chris Carter within 1 catch of Ahmad Rashad's club record.
Both Dale and Chris doing a little hand fighting. Chris gets one hand on the ball. This is just an exceptional play by a wide receiver. I mean, he got beat by a great play.
And now Reveiz to kick off from the 50, and he kicks it out of the stadium.
See, to me, that's absolutely a waste.
Meaningless, isn't it?
It's a waste of a great opportunity. I don't know whether Dennis Green told him to do that. Fuad Reveiz has the 3rd shortest kickoffs in the league. You kick it real high and try and hang it down around the end zone. Your team is 15 yards closer for kick coverage. You can make that a weapon. Instead, you know, you give them the ball on the 20, so what?
The scoring drive, 5 plays, 73 yards. Chris Carter with his 2nd touchdown pass of the night from Jim McMahon. And it's 17-3. Kansas City has been almost totally inept on offense tonight. They have done nothing. Montana to Davis. Won't get any more than 3 yards. Carl Lee, make it 4. Carl Lee up to make the stop.
You saw McMahon's pass chart. This is Joe Montana's. This is where Joe will work. Under 15 yards. Won't put the ball deep much. You only see 2 tries. But this is where he's effective. He has no 300-yard passing games this year. As a matter of fact, the Chiefs have none, combined between Montana and Craig.
Had 7 out of 8 of his first half completions in that last drive to set up the field goal. Montana throwing off his back foot, incomplete. Everybody covered, and he was feeling heat up front. Roy Barker was right on top of it. 5 sacks this year for Barker. He is a very quick defensive end at 280. And they're playing without Henry Thomas tonight, who's out with an injury.
Guys up front, I mean, John Randall and Tuilo'o do a great job. That's Hank with the snake skin jacket on his back.
We'll find out tomorrow night whether he makes the Pro Bowl. He certainly should, along with Randall and Dolman. 3rd and 5. Montana throws and dropped. Intercepted. Carl Lee. Carl Lee with a convoy. The 3rd interception of the season for Carl Lee. The 2nd time tonight. Montana has been picked off, but that was right in the hands of his tight end, Jonathan Hayes.
That is as big a play as you're going to make in a ball game. This is a big play for the Kansas City Chiefs if Jonathan Hayes hangs on to this football. Right down the middle of the field, he just gets it in his hands, and then it just and he bounces it up in the air when McGrigg hits him from the left side of your screen. Carl Lee's just going to catch a little snowbird falling from the sky. He's wide open. That's a big gainer. Now it winds up being a big turnover. The opportunistic secondary of the Minnesota Vikings.
2nd half of the season, they've been tough. Graham leans to the 27-yard line. Of course, we tried to point out all year what the turnovers have done to teams. The 3rd turnover tonight by Kansas City, and when you commit 3 turnovers, you only win 1 out of 5. Hayes really upset after dropping an easy catch that would have been a 1st down.
I think, you know, in talking to Paul Hackett, the offensive coordinator, he's using this year to find out what the skills are of the people that are in his offense. He's got to learn and what Joe can help them do.
McMahon, blitz coming, throws complete to Jordan. Jordan wrapped up at the 22-yard line. Nice tackle by Martin Bayless, who has done a fine job calling the plays in the secondary for Kansas City.
Yeah, Mike, but Minnesota's right back where they have been. 3rd down and 3, exactly where they want to be. They've got their list. Brian Billick has his list on the sideline, knows exactly what he wants to do in this situation.
And this is exactly what they wanted out of Jim McMahon in this offense. That's why they brought him to Minnesota. Certainly tonight, he has given them everything. 3rd and 3. Comes the blitz. They pick it up, and McMahon completes it. Ismail first down at the 17.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is, Mike, you're blitzing on 3rd and 3. It doesn't matter. I mean, the receivers are going to be able to run 3- and 4-yard routes. I think they're blitzing at the wrong time. Great job by the offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. There's the 4 guys down. The blitz is going to come. They'll bring everybody up inside. Here they come. They do a terrific job. Scotty Graham gets a pickup. McDaniel helps out. They get the first down.
Vikings leading 17-3 with 9:05 to go 3rd quarter. And another timeout as the play clock was down to 0. Timeout on the field. 9:03 to go 3rd quarter. Minnesota by 14. The Vikings leading at 17-3, 9:03 to go 3rd quarter, and they have a first down at the Kansas City 17-yard line. Kansas City has already clinched the AFC West. They need a win tonight to stay in a 3-way tie for home field advantage. Minnesota needs to win 2 straight to ensure they go to the playoffs. 1-1, it would be very iffy. Scotty Graham cuts it back inside for the 4.
Oh, that's just a great job of play calling. That starts right from the sidelines. They had 3 tight ends in the game, 1 wide receiver. What they're going to do is they're going to overload the left side, and there's just too much meat. These are tight ends, plus Daphne doing a great job. They're just going to blow out that whole left side. Now you send the fullback there, who is Jordan, another tight end. He really doesn't have anybody to hit. That's just a great job by the left side.
21 carries, 82 yards for Scotty Graham. 1st and goal. He had 139 last week. Graham again. Lowers his head, got maybe 1. Those numbers aren't bad for a substitute teacher and a pharmacy worker, are they?
They really aren't. And, you know, he's just done everything he's been asked to do. He comes off the ball. He's got great feet, makes quick decisions, doesn't go laterally, goes forward. He said he was going to prepare for this game like a heavyweight fighter. This was going to be a knockdown drag-out. That's the way he prepared.
Barry Word is one of the people that he has replaced at that tailback spot. Robert Smith and Terry Allen both hurt. Graham's made the most of his opportunity. Graham, toss sweep. Cuts it back near the 2. The Vikings have looked very sharp on offense tonight. And Hayes, the man whose drop created the interception, hoping that his defense can hold here. It's one thing to make a mistake. It's another thing to make a mistake that leads to a touchdown. McMahon to throw, overthrows Roger Craig, who was wide open at the goal line. Maybe the first mistake McMahon has made tonight.
Give me the 22. They've got everybody open in this pass.
Boy, was he wide open. Jimmy Mack would love to have it back.
This is coming right at you down to the right. I mean, the Chiefs are all confused. They don't know who to rush, who to cover, who to blitz. Jim McMahon saw the confusion and tried to get the ball out so quickly. He has so many people open on this particular play, he'd need 4 footballs. He'd have 4 touchdowns. The Chiefs were totally confused. Totally confused.
Well, they got away with it.
City player to save the game, minimum 1 play.
So Revés is on to try a 20-yard field goal that would make it 20-3. He already hit from 22. And Minnesota just trying to add to its building total. Revés is good from 20. And the score mounts to 20-3. Vikings over the Kansas City Chiefs. 20-3 over Kansas City midway through the 3rd quarter. Let's take a look at the NFC standings as of now. The division leaders, Dallas will play the Giants for the title next week. Green Bay will play Detroit for the Central title next week. San Francisco has clinched its division in the West. Now here's how the wild card breaks down. The Giants at 11-4 play Dallas for the division next week or a wild card berth. Detroit has clinched a berth at 9-6. Minnesota playing tonight needs a win and then goes to Washington on Friday. New Orleans, now we're down to the teams at 7-8. They finish against the Bengals. Philadelphia plays Monday night against San Francisco for their last game, and Chicago at 7-8 will play the Rams next Sunday. It's amazing to see a 7-7 and 3 7-8 teams alive at this point in the season. Revés to kick to Hughes. The rookie from the 2. What a play by Bobby Abrams. First he killed the blocker, and then he got the ball carrier. And one of the Chiefs a little slow getting up, Doug Terry. Hit on the kickoff return.
Of course, Doug Terry was replaced as the strong safety by Martin Bayless. Bayless, who was cut in the beginning of the year because he didn't have a very good training camp, has come back and played, in Marty Schottenheimer's words, better than he played last year when he was a starter in 16 games.
Join us at noon Eastern on Sunday. You'll see NFL Game Day at that time. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Chris Mortensen, and Joe Theismann providing a comprehensive pregame show. A look at all the NFL. Then at 7, prime time, all the highlights. And then at 8 o'clock, Joe and I will be at the Astrodome in Houston as the New York Jets battle the AFC Central champion Houston Oilers, who are on fire, and the Jets shot themselves in the foot today. A legitimate chance to beat Buffalo at Buffalo. Tony Dungy looking on. He has to be very proud of the job his defense has done tonight, Joe.
You know what he's done? He has done a very masterful job of coaching. I really believe sometimes players make plays in games for you, but I think he has done a great job of implementing a defensive scheme that has fit exactly what Dennis Green talked about in our open. He's made Joe Montana think. He's played a chess game with the chess master, and right now the defense of the Vikings and Tony Dungy are working on checkmate with Joe Montana.
And Tony Dungy, in my opinion, certainly one of those guys who has a tremendous amount of respect around the league and long overdue for a shot at a head coaching job.
And, you know, with the Phoenix Cardinals winning today against the Giants, that job in Phoenix hopefully will still be Joe Bugles. There was one who was talked about possibly as a change. I'd hate to see that happen because Bugles has certainly got his ball club playing the way I'm sure they expected to all year now.
They seem to be very close. Doug Terry's still down. We'll check on his condition when we come back. Minnesota on top of Kansas City 20-3, and Jim McMahon has thrown a pair of scoring shots to Chris Carter. On both occasions, they beat cornerback Dale Carter. This is in the first half. After a little of arm fighting, Chris Carter with a diving catch in the corner of the end zone. Then in the third quarter, Jimmy Mack comes back. Same man, same result, same defender. And it's 20-3. Maybe a new Christmas earring?
Maybe. You know, Mike, this is the situation as it is, 20-3. The Kansas City Chiefs of the last few years would have absolutely no opportunity to come back from this kind of a deficit. Last week against the Chargers, Montana and Craig combined for a victory. This is why Marty Schottenheimer went out and hired Paul Hackett, and they got Joe Montana to give him a chance to come back.
1st and 10. Out in the flat, McNair, and he is wrapped up and thrown down. Carlos Jenkins. His 2nd year as a starter. Joe, they changed the offense, did Kansas City, not just because of Montana, although that was a big factor in getting him, but the comeback factor certainly big for this club. It inspires everybody.
Well, when they had Word and Okoye, they knew everybody. They were a pounded pass when you had to offense. They want an offense that could come out and put some points on the board. They haven't yet, but they won one last week, and hopefully have a shot at one this week, they think.
Thompson on the delay. John Randall gets him in the backfield.
Mike, can you notice the difference in the defensive tempo of the Minnesota Vikings versus the tempo of the Chiefs? Defensively, look at Randall come off the ball. I mean, they can't block him. He's hitting the gaps. He's cutting the inside. He's disrupting the offensive blocking scheme by penetrating. Kansas City's defense, on the other hand, is catching the offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings.
3rd and 15. Montana again throws short, complete to Cash, and Cash somehow got a 1st down.
Montana's pass complete to Keith Cash.
There's a case where Montana looks down the field and comes to his 3rd receiver. He's looking down the middle. I mean, he really wants to work down the middle of the football field. Now he doesn't see it happen, so at the last minute he steps up, and this is just a great job of running.
It's the longest pass in the game for Kansas City, a gain of 16 yards, and most of it was done on the run by Cash. Montana throws incomplete. Davis was wide open at midfield, and Montana feeling some heat from the pass rush. The run has not been there. Less than a yard per carry. They were pretty good coming in at 3.3, but 0.6 is terrific.
I don't believe that the Chiefs, they've got to get rid of it. They've got to take a throw first, run to keep them honest philosophy, as opposed to try and balance this offense.
Well, especially now when you need 3 scores in less than a quarter and a half. 2nd and 10. McNair gets the carry and stopped at the 39-yard line. A lot of people thought Joe Montana's career was over twice. First back surgery, then elbow surgery. Certainly shown his buoyancy, his ability to come back from adversity.
You know, he's been put under a lot of pressure in this offense, too. He's got to be a coach on the field. Besides going out and executing as a quarterback, he's got to make sure that all these guys are in new positions, and that's a lot of pressure on one man.
Marcus Allen almost had his head knocked off by Carlos Jenkins. Boy, Jenkins was waiting for that one.
Left part of your screen, Marcus just circles out. Joe gives him a good ball. Carlos Jenkins just comes up and wants to see if he can take Marcus's head home for a souvenir.
So Kansas City sends on the punting unit. Parker waits at his 15 with 3:40 to go, 3rd quarter. Beautiful kick. And it will bounce into the end zone. So the Vikings already up 20-3. Will take over at the 20 after a 59-yard punt. Join us on Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern. We have an NFL special for you. For the first time ever, the Pro Bowl Selection Show will announce both the AFC and NFC teams. And, of course, this is the first year that fans have had a chance to vote. Coaches and players have always split that duty, but the fans' vote counted for a third this year.
And remember, the fans' vote becomes the deciding vote in case of a tie, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are some players that'll get there because of the fans.
We had a tie at wide receiver for the AFC a year ago. Scotty Graham as the Vikings go right back to the ground. Look at this. Scotty Graham taken out of bounds by Charles Mincy. But it's a gain of 30, and Scotty Graham has 114 yards for the night. Back-to-back 100-yard games.
What an incredible job by Bernard Daphne on the left side. There's Daphne, there's Tice on the tight. They're just absolutely going to clean this side out, and it's Katie bar the door. There's the slide, good block down. I mean, there is no one there. They have run at Lonnie Martz and Derek Thomas all night.
In his last 4 games, Scotty Graham has rushed for 398 yards. You think the Vikings have found something here? AC on the reverse. Almost 10 yards more. It's been a play he's run forever.
And they got the touchdown pass of it to Chris Carter, the first one, faking it. I mean, he gives you so much in a dimension of running with the football, but you can sense this Viking offense is in a rhythm. Kansas City's is sporadic at best, but the Vikings are just in the huddle, out of the huddle, in the huddle, out of the huddle.
Vikings with 130 yards tonight, well above their average, which is only 21st in the NFL, but remember, we're only in the 3rd period. Scotty Graham bumps off 1 tackle, then hauled down, but it appears his forward progress will give him another first down.
Joe Phillips on the tackle.
Dale Carter being checked out on the sideline, his left arm. Kevin Ross had gone out earlier with a hip pointer, so the secondary being depleted for Kansas City.
This is where the Kansas City defense has got to make a statement. Right now on this 1st and 10 play, I think they've got to put some people up on the line of scrimmage. They've got to force the Vikings into a 2nd and long. They can't sit and play catch with them.
Back to the run on 1st down, and Graham again with room up the middle, dragging Tracy Simeon with him.
They're just taking this front of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're taking and driving this front back and giving Graham a chance to run up wherever he wants in holes. Vikings line is coming off the ball. Everybody's locked up on somebody. Look at the hole. Look at this. That's unbelievable. I mean, they are doing a fantastic job of creating running lanes.
And on the last play, they didn't even bother to double team anybody. The center, Adam Schreiber, went down and got the middle line back to Tracy Simeon. Graham again. Spins off a tackle of Tracy Rogers.
Rogers on the tackle.
You notice we may not have called the names of Derek Thomas and Neil Smith more than maybe once apiece all night long. They have done a great job against a pair of Pro Bowlers.
Well, what's interesting is they've run away from Neil Smith. So you're not going to, if you're running the ball, you're not going to call his name. They've run at Derek Thomas, who makes his living chasing things.
That's right.
Including passers. And they've totally done exactly what they want to do offensively.
Graham again, diving 1st down. It's the Scotty Graham and Jim McMahon show from Minneapolis.
The Minnesota Vikings have played as perfect a game as you'll see, both offensively and defensively tonight so far.
And the offensive line is due for a game ball. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. 20-3 Vikings. Jim McMahon was picked up as a free agent by Dennis Green for the particular reason that he is a winner. He wins ball games, and this is exactly the kind of offense they envisioned when they brought Jimmy Mack here. A good running game because they had Terry Allen coming back better than 1,000 yards a year ago. Then Allen got hurt. Robert Smith finally came on. He got hurt. They tried Barry Word at running back, Roger Craig. And Jim McMahon was handicapped, struggled early, but right now, and you mentioned the word earlier in the broadcast, rhythm. They are playing with great rhythm.
And now what they're going to do offensively is they've got 15 minutes of football. What they want to do now, you'll see them run now like they, for a purpose, to eat the clock up. Now they'll try and eat it up. Now McMahon will burn this thing down as close as he can get to make sure that seconds come off the clock, and Montana's sitting on the sidelines.
Defensive back Dale Carter being taken to the locker room. His arm is in a sling. He has a bruised left forearm. They're probably going for x-rays. Barry Word in at running back. And he'll get the carry as Scotty Graham gets a rest. And Word, there was Neil Smith in on the play.
It was interesting when you talked to Dennis Green about why now all of a sudden Scotty Graham instead of Barry Word. Barry came in, was very productive. And then his production just continued to go down. And Dennis put it as, I think, as candidly as you possibly can. We're in a business of production, and he was not producing. And that's why he's not playing.
And Scotty Graham is producing. The free agent out of Ohio State. 2nd and 8. And there's movement up front by the offensive line, and several Chiefs come across.
False start before the snap. 76 offense. 5 yards, still 2nd down.
Have a sellout crowd here at the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis. Our Budweiser storyline shows the numbers on Jim McMahon. 2 touchdown passes, both to Chris Carter, who has 88 yards on the night. Scotty Graham has rushed for 128 yards, and Joe Montana has only thrown for 115 and has 2 interceptions. 2nd and 13 after the penalty. McMahon with time, throws over the middle, complete to Barry Word. 1st down, Minnesota. A gain of 18.
The offensive line of the Vikings has done a great job run blocking. This is the job they do, pass blocking. You've got to have lanes to throw the football if you're a quarterback. Look at the lane he has to throw the ball. Right there's his receiver, right there's the ball. Excellent job by the offensive line, giving McMahon an opportunity not only to step up, but have a lane to throw the football through.
Left to right, Daphne, McDaniel, Schreiber, Kalis, and Irwin, along with the tight end Steve Jordan. They've done a great job. Word on the toss. Gets a couple. They'll mark it just about at the 11-yard line. Lonnie Martz made the tackle. They've also used Mike Tyson, Derek Tennell as tight ends and H-backs tonight, and there is Neil Smith. And he looks like he's in some discomfort.
Kansas City has played this defensively about as vanilla as you can. They haven't blitzed much. They left Derek Thomas on the right side so that the Vikings can continue to find him and run at him. Now they move him over to the other side.
And the tight end Tice moves right with him on 2nd and 9. Play clock running out. McMahon gets it off in time. Scotty Graham back into the ball game. And there is the difference between what you see when he's in there and when Barry Word is in there. He hits the hole in a hurry.
He really does. But, you know, Mike, on this one, the Vikings, watch the trap. They're going to run this little trap again. They're going to bring it over, kick it out. Great job right here at the point of attack by Mike Tice, and it's going to give him an opportunity to clear. Look at him make the left side. That's Daphne. You know, Daphne, he's only 330 pounds, and he's a pulling tackle in this offense.
3rd and 4. Graham, straight up the middle. Touchdown.
Well, we've seen the tackles trap. Now it's the turn for the guard. Todd Kalis, the right guard's going to come around and make the block. Graham's going to run right up behind him. There comes the pull, comes around inside. And it's one-on-one. When you got a back with 5 yards of a running head start, no defensive back's going to keep him out of the end zone.
Revés for the point after. And the Vikings are stunning Kansas City 27-3. Scotty Graham, 30 carries, 139 yards, and that touchdown. A nice wave, and why not? Scotty Graham has had a big night against a tough Kansas City defense that has been overwhelmed tonight. Derek Thomas and company. It's 27-3 with 11:43 to go in the ball game. And Revés to kick to Danon Hughes. Good kick this time, and Hughes at the goal line. Tripped up short of the 20. Brent Novoselsky, the tight end on special teams. Let's take a look at the AFC playoff picture. And the biggest beneficiary of a Kansas City loss tonight would be Buffalo, because they would be in the driver's seat for the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They own the tiebreaker against Houston. Those are the division leaders. Now let's take a look at the wild card. Denver at 9-6 will finish against the Raiders. They have already clinched a berth. Miami plays tomorrow night at San Diego. Then they go to New England. The Raiders, who lost today, will go against Denver. The Steelers at 8-7 next week against Cleveland. The Jets at 8-7. Our game at Houston. They are all still alive. McNair, they tried to sweep. Carl Lee strung it out, and Jack Del Rio pushed him out of bounds. That is an odd call to me when you're behind by 24 points in the fourth quarter.
Well, I don't find it that odd, only because you got to remember what you're protecting. You're protecting the key guy on your football team. That's Joe Montana. You stand him back there and let these guys tee off at him, you're asking him to take a lot more of a pounding than is necessary. I think you just have to run an offensive now and do it in moderation.
They'll try the screen. McNair smacked at the 25-yard line. Del Rio has had a tremendous season. Tough middle linebacker.
You know, the Minnesota Viking defense has had a little bit of a benefit from playing Kansas City after they played Green Bay. Because it is the West Coast style defense. It is the short drop, get rid of the ball quick style of offense. So the preparation had to be somewhat similar for Tony Dungy and his defensive ball club.
3rd and 3 for Kansas City. 4-man rush. Montana has to pull it down. He's sacked, ball's loose. Davis recovers, and now McCarter rules it incomplete.
It's an incomplete forward pass.
Robert Harris, number 90, got to Montana.
Good job by that. I mean, it sounds like a broken record, I know, but what a great job by that Minnesota defense. Pressure up front, great job by the secondary and linebackers in coverage.
Going back to your point about trying to take care of Joe Montana, Steve Young came out today. George Seifert had said if it was a situation of having a chance to win the game after you already had it wrapped up or getting your quarterback hurt, he was going to protect his quarterback. So we might see Dave Craig if you go along with that same philosophy. Parker driven back by the punt to the 25. Breaks a tackle to the 44-yard line. Montana on the headphones, and David Craig is warming up with 10:17 to go in the game. Montana, whose work is apparently done for the evening, dons the baseball cap. Here's the scoring summary of the ball game. The Vikings jumped on top with a 22-yard field goal by Fuad Revés. And then Chris Carter with the first of 2 touchdown catches from Jim McMahon. Lowry got the Chiefs on the board. That is the only score they've had all night. The second touchdown pass from Chris Carter. Revés, another field goal, made it 20-3. And then Scotty Graham with a touchdown run, 27-3 Vikings. They need a win next week, and they are in the playoffs. Scotty Graham. Must make your coaches feel a little funny when you get down to the 5th running back and he's the guy who's going to carry you into the playoffs.
Sometimes it takes you a long while to dig to find the diamond you're looking for, though, really.
Right.
Look at that, time of possession. I mean, you're not going to win a whole lot of football games if you have the ball 18 minutes and the other guys have it 32. Clock running at 10 minutes. And this Minnesota offense just continues to do what it's done all night, is control the tempo of the game.
Graham, straight up the middle, darts off to the left and up the middle again. He's got another first down.
That was some nifty little running. I mean, that's nice little dancing feet. Gonna move right up behind the trapping linemen. They just move those linemen from side to side. Watch the movement right in the hole. Watch this. Up. Let me slide right over here. Adam Schreiber does a good job of standing up the nose tackle, and he just makes a little cut off it.
Scotty Graham was a guy at Ohio State that didn't get that much action, used primarily as a blocking back for some other outstanding runners. But boy, he is making a statement in the last 4 weeks, averaging better than 100 yards a game in that stadium. And Graham really being a workhorse tonight. Inside the 30. Gain of 15 for Scotty Graham, 33 carries, 166 yards. He had 139 last week. It's a shame he didn't do this early, being a Pro Bowl.
Watch Tim Irwin. He's going to come around. Tice has done a terrific job, and he's got these holes to run through. Irwin pulls around. Tice blocks down. I mean, you got Tim Irwin on Lonnie Martz, and it's a mismatch. I mean, the tackles have done such a great job all night for the Vikings offense.
Barry Word is checked back into the lineup. He'll get the carry. And Barry Word has to be thinking, why me? Every time I get the ball, somebody knifes in from the outside. That time it was Pelham McDaniels, number 77. Can you get a late season write-in vote on your special Tuesday night for Scotty Graham?
Look at these last 4 games. Detroit, Dallas, that pretty good defense.
Yeah.
Green Bay got a guy by the name of Reggie White there, Tony Bennett. And Kansas City, of course, is where he is tonight.
All 4 defenses in the top 10 of the NFL, and the 166 yards rushing, the 4th best in Minnesota Viking history. And Neil Smith, add him to the injury list. He has a sprained elbow. Word with room to run outside. Ran away from Simeon. And the crowd really appreciating it here in Minnesota.
I have been really surprised how well the Minnesota Vikings have attacked the perimeters of the offensive line. With Scotty Graham and Barry Word, you'd expect them to try and attack between the tackles. Instead, they've hit the corners and managed to turn them, and that is a great job by your tackles and your tight ends on the outside linebackers.
Darren Mickle, number 92, comes into the ball game. Look at the rushing defense. The Chiefs have been one of the best in the NFL. 200 yards rushing for the Vikings. And they're adding to it as Word gets a couple of more straight up the middle before he is pushed back by Tracy Simeon. Well, you can't imagine the Chiefs would have had a letdown, even though with the losses by other teams today, they clinched the AFC West. They're playing for home field advantage, and these guys have been in the league long enough to know that that's what counts.
No, they've just gotten a good old-fashioned butt kicking here tonight.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it really... They came in here to play. I was down on the field talking to Marty and Carl Peterson, the president of the Chiefs. They knew that this was an important game. They're playing for home field.
Marty Schottenheimer last night talking to us about how important the home field was. Well, they're in a lot of trouble now. Barry Word inside the 5. Flags are down.
Davis on the tackle is a flag on the play.
It's amazing we haven't had more holding calls as many times as Minnesota has run. We'll get one here.
That's one of the few penalties that they've committed tonight. I mean, this is about as close to a perfect game as I've seen a football team play in a long, long time. Total yards, 413 to 140. That means your defense has done a sensational job. Flawed as Revés, as little as he's had to work, has done a good job.
I think that man, Carl Peterson, one of the top 2 or 3 general managers in football, he has done a sensational job. Throw tonight out, the talent that he has assembled in Kansas City. He and Bobby Beathard and a couple of other guys are the stars in personnel in this league. Word is McMahon trips coming out from under center and then just ducks for cover.
Well, what that does is that keeps the clock running. I mean, that's Jim just does a good job of protecting it and keeps the clock running.
He didn't even want that mistake.
Now it's on 3rd down. Now you start to think, well, should we put the ball in the air? I say no. I think you run it again, you go in and kick the field goal, and you just keep things nice and smooth and safe.
There's Adam Schreiber, 1 career start before this year. Really the definition of a journeyman. He comes in, takes over for Kirk Loudermilk, who left as a free agent, and they said he's as good at line calls as anybody in the NFL. And he is blocked very well, too. McMahon with a screen. Craig inside the 20, about the 18-yard line, where Jaime Fields, number 59, is waiting for him. We were in our production meeting with Marty Schottenheimer last night, and guess who calls 2 hours after the team got here? Jaime Fields.
From Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah, he missed the plane.
And Marty Schottenheimer wouldn't even talk to him. He said, tell him to get here.
And the reason why is Marty was an assistant coach once on a football team. He wouldn't tell us where, he wouldn't tell us who they waited for, but he waited an hour and a half for a quarterback, and he said he'd never, ever wait for anybody, including himself.
Claude Revés to try from 35 yards. The Vikings can do no wrong. Revés 3 for 3, and Minnesota's lead increases to 27. With the wind chill tonight in Minneapolis, it is supposed to get down to 40 below. 40 below. Ho, ho, ho.
I'm not leaving.
No.
It's 62 in here, and I'm not leaving. I'm going to sleep right in the booth tonight.
And until they built this facility, they used to play at Old Metropolitan Stadium. You all remember the old films.
I do.
Oh, man, that's inhuman. Revés kicking to Hughes. Takes it at the 3. Excellent special teams coverage again by the Vikings, stopping short of the 20-yard line.
The Minnesota Vikings have really set the tempo tonight on the ground. Scotty Graham having an all-world night. Terrific job by his offensive line. Tim Irwin, Mike Tice, these are all from the last drive. We'd be here all night showing you all the others. All he does is run right, run left. Now Barry Word's turn. This time they dip inside, turns the corner, outruns Simeon, and makes a big gain. And that's what the Vikings have done offensively all night, is just run, and then run some more.
Joe Montana out of the ballgame. Dave Craig is in. Craig to throw on 1st down. Goldman in his face makes the completion up to about the 25-yard line. You know, you've always had to wonder if they pull a quarterback so they don't get him hurt and then put you in, what are they telling you?
You know something, I got to be honest, I've been in that situation. I've been the starter and sat down. I've also been the backup and come in. As a backup, this is a great time to come into a game because as a quarterback, you want to throw. Who cares if they're rushing you? You know they're going to be playing zones. You got a chance to put up some numbers and make some completions.
Handoff to McNair. He's got the 1st down and gets out of bounds. But if you want to talk about class acts, there's a couple of them on this ball club with Joe Montana and David Craig, who has not been a complainer throughout his career. He came here. He was supposed to be the answer to the Super Bowl puzzle. Didn't get it done last year. Now Montana comes in and Craig is out of a job. He goes back to a backup. But he's a great person.
Unfair because he's played in new systems for the last 3 years. But this is the comparison of the two. This is their career comparisons. Only 6,000 fewer yards for David Craig. 216 touchdowns, only 40 less.
Of course, he labeled in obscurity most of his career, and Seattle did not get a lot of attention. But played very, very well.
Offside, 58. 6 defense, unmolested path into the offensive backfield. 5 yards.
Dolman.
Unmolested path into the offensive backfield. That's just a definition. If you look up like offside in the dictionary, it possibly could say that. You know, Chris Dolman is finally going to get the respect I think that he's been shooting for all year. He's probably going to make the Pro Bowl. He's played well enough this year, but when he played well before, everybody used to say, well, the only reason you're good is because Keith Ballard helped you. Or the only reason you're good is because Henry Thomas helped you. Or the only reason you're good is because of the defensive scheme. He's just good.
He's just good. They played all night without Henry Thomas out with an injury. Pass in the flat, taken out of bounds, short of the first down. Catch made by Kimball Anders. A multi-talented player is getting to play a little more this year.
You know, there's an interesting difference between Joe Montana and Dave Craig. Of course, Derek Thomas taking off his war gear while Craig's on the field. Montana anticipates in this offense very well. That means that the receiver isn't to the hole yet, but Joe will still throw the ball. David Craig, because of his unfamiliarity with the offense, has to wait until the receiver is in that hole and has to make the throw then. That's a subtle difference between the two.
Craig with time, throws, and it's dropped. Tough night for Jonathan Hayes. He dropped one earlier that bounced up in the air and resulted in an interception. Look at the time of possession and the scoring in the second half. I mean, Kansas City just hasn't had the football.
I mean, all you can do is say, great job, Minnesota. Great job, Dennis Green.
They will go to 8-7. If they win next week, they are in the playoffs. They control their own destiny.
Tough night for that man, Marty Schottenheimer.
3:46 to go in the game. Vikings come with a blitz. Craig throws, tipped in the air, nearly picked off by Lamar McGriggs.
Craig's pass intended for Hayes is incomplete.
The Vikings have not sat back and played a soft defense. They're continuing to play the game the way they played it all night, aggressively from that side of the ball. And I really think, if I'm looking at one difference in this game, it's the aggressive nature of the Minnesota defense, the non-aggressive nature of Kansas City's defense that has set the tone here.
Barker, who has had a busy night, will kick on 4th and short. Crushes one this time. Parker all the way back to the 10-yard line. And only gets a couple on the return before Bruce Pickens brings him down. A punt of 51, a return of only 2. These are the division leaders in the NFC. Dallas and the Giants will play for the title next week. Green Bay and Detroit face for the title in the NFC Central next week. San Francisco has already clinched the division at 10-5. The wild card possibilities, the Giants at 11-4. They've already clinched one, at least. Detroit has to play Green Bay for the division title. They have clinched a berth. Minnesota will be 8-7 and going to Washington next week. New Orleans still alive at 7-8. And what has happened to the Saints? The Eagles at 7-8 and the Chicago Bears also at 7-8. They will play in Los Angeles the final game of the season.
What a great job Richie Kotite has done with that Philadelphia Eagle team. Bubby Brister has played as well since he's taken over for O'Brien and then for Cunningham, as well as anybody in the league this year.
Sean Salisbury comes in at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. He has started some this year. There's a whistle. Salisbury said, I am the ultimate team player. If I can't be Roger Clemens, I want to be Dennis Eckersley. He has one of the great attitudes that I have ever seen in this game. He knew they brought Jim McMahon in here to play him, even though he wanted a shot at the starting job.
You know, it's interesting, too, is here's a guy that didn't get drafted. I mean, he was really, really disappointed. Had a great college career at USC, and then just never really, he got disappointed, couldn't make it, then he just decided he wasn't going to quit.
But things have turned around for him. Not only is he a pro football player, but he owns a piece of the Harlem Globetrotters. Not bad.
Not too bad.
We have 3 minutes and 32 seconds to go in a 33 blowout for Minnesota. Word. And still running effectively. Sally Amua, Mincy, and the middle linebacker Tracy Simeon make the tackle. Of course, there were some other outstanding performances. Sterling Sharp, only the first man ever to have 100-catch seasons, and he did it back-to-back with that terrible foot injury he's been nursing. Emmitt Smith with 153 yards today. Ron Moore, Joe Bugle's running back at Phoenix, with 135 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Now that's against the Giants.
Yeah.
That makes you start scratching your head a little bit about where the Giants are. Are they comfortable with their playoff position?
Phoenix has been very close this year. Word weaving his way through tacklers after around the 21-yard line, a couple of yards shy of a first down.
Derek Thomas continues to ponder what has happened tonight. I think all the Chiefs will go back and look. You know, you had one team play flat, the Chiefs, and you had another team play inspired, the Vikings. Neil Smith got a bandage on his elbow. There's Carl Peterson, excuse me. Carl's mother, Louise Peterson, is going to have her 81st birthday on Tuesday. She's a big Redskin fan and obviously a Chiefs fan, so she has not had a very good Sunday. Hopefully Tuesday will be a better one for you, Louise.
Happy birthday. And on 3rd and short, they'll rack up about a yard loss, and that will bring us to the 2-minute warning in this one as the crowd starts to file out of the Metrodome. Tim Irwin with his team up by 27. Minnesota winning its 8th game of the year and winning it big over the Kansas City Chiefs, 30-3 with 2 minutes to go in the game from Minnesota. And coming up next, Sports Center, a recap of everything that went on during the day and some bizarre games. A look at Chris Webber against the Blazers, and our Sunday night conversation with Joe Montana. NFL Primetime will follow Sports Center. We'll get another rash of letters. There's some different Christmas gifts for you, folks. Remember those for next year. Vikings will kick it away. And again, a great job of coverage by the Minnesota Vikings as Mincy only gets 2 yards on the return.
Everybody else has done a great job. There's Tom Batta, this Viking special teams coach. They haven't had to come up with any big plays tonight. All they've done is do a very consistent job covering kicks and not allowing some of the really speedy return men for the Chiefs to get a chance to break anything loose.
John Ault, who did an outstanding job on Dolman on the left side, made the Pro Bowl for the first time a year ago. Find out Tuesday night on our ESPN special whether he makes it back this year as we announce both squads. Craig steps up under pressure, completes it to tight end Keith Cash, and Dave Garnett makes the tackle. And Tim Irwin, the last time he didn't start, they played outdoors here at Metropolitan Stadium. He was smart. He waited till they got indoors.
Yeah, and then he figured he could play a lot longer.
Made every start since then. That was 1981. Craig to throw deep down the middle. Barnett with a catch. Vincy Glenn makes the tackle.
There's the first opportunity they've had to really put the ball down the field on offense. You know, when I talked to Paul Hackett, the offensive coordinator, he pointed out to me when Joe Montana first got involved in the San Francisco offense, he had receivers like Dwight Clark, Russ Francis, Solomon, Wilson, and Nehemiah. Not exactly like the Rice and the Taylor and the Joneses that are there now. And Kansas City as a team has built itself to a level defensively where it feels like it can compete. Offensively, they're only in their first year. So everybody who criticizes this offense and says, why isn't it much more productive, or the receivers aren't that good, they really don't know what they're talking about. Paul Hackett, the man in the middle, right there. Right? That guy right there. You know, he feels like that this is a year to evaluate. This is a year to educate. This is a year to give his offense a chance to grow.
Yeah, fans don't want to hear that. They want to hear, we got Joe Montana and Marcus Allen. We're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
1st and 15 for Craig. Good protection. Throws complete to Cash. Cash breaks the tackle inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line. I think in Willie Davis, They have a big-time receiver on this Kansas City ball club.
Well, you know, everybody compares the wide receivers to like Rice and Taylor, for example. J.J. Burton with 44 catches coming in. Willie Davis with 46. But the thing you have to look at is you got to look at the yards. Burton has 640 plus, and Willie Davis has 832 coming in. So maybe the catches aren't there yet, but certainly the yardage production is, and the touchdown production is. Willie Davis got 6 TDs. As a wide receiver, you know, that's not bad.
And averaging 18 yards a catch. Well, it was billed as the 2 winningest quarterbacks active in the NFL, and certainly one of them had to lose, and it's going to be Montana because McMahon was nearly perfect tonight. 17 of 25 for 219 yards.
And I believe McMahon now is 4-1 against Montana.
That's not a bad stat either.
4-1. He was 3-1 coming into this one. Now he's 4-1. Jimmy Mack. You know, it's interesting when you talk to the Kansas City Chiefs about him. Neil Smith and Derek Thomas told us last night. He said, you know, what he does just isn't pretty. It's just effective. I mean, he's not going to win any awards for prettiness, but he's going to get it done as an effective quarterback.
He was even pretty tonight. Those throws to Chris Carter were terrific.
See, he's never really been given the credit I think he deserves for being an outstanding quarterback who really can throw the football. You saw the numbers at BYU.
Oh, yeah.
He could, if he was in an offense where they threw the ball, he could light it up as well as anybody. Those 2 touchdown passes were perfect tonight.
First and goal from the 8 with 46 seconds to go. Kansas City uses timeout to stop the clock. McNair, room to run inside the 5 to about the 3-yard line. Kansas City just trying to get on the board. J.C. Pearson makes the tackle. Kansas City, even before this game started because of the losses in the division, had won the division title for the first time since 1971. Here's a great player. Lenny Dawson was the last guy who won the title. He's on the Kansas City Chiefs radio broadcast network, along with Kevin Harlan, who does a lot of work for us.
You just don't find a more class individual than Lenny. Done so much work, does a great job with Nick Bonacani, Chris Collinsworth. They do a terrific job on that show. Gary Meyer, they got to have their little reporter. But they're not as good as we are, but I mean, they do a great job.
Well, it was nice of you to mention him anyway.
You know, I thought I would. I like Lenny a lot.
Lenny was a great player. 40 seconds to go in the game. Ball spotted between the 2 and the 3-yard line. David Craig in relief of Joe Montana.
This is a play, Mike, the biggest concern for both Dennis Green and Marty Schottenheimer is don't get anybody hurt. Don't get anybody nicked up or hurt.
Craig can't find anybody. Throws the ball toward the back of the end zone. Hughes said he was juggling the ball, did not make the catch. And right down there to argue with him, Dave Zott, the left guard. The rookie from Iowa.
It's going to be in the lower right-hand part of your screen. That's where you want to look. Craig scrambles around, looks back, just hangs it up. Oh, I don't know what he's bobbling.
Oh, that's a catch.
I just think it's a great catch, and the official's standing there looking at it. He's going to say he was bobbling it. He certainly got both feet in. Yeah, he was. I think he was. Well, no.
I don't think. And that would have been his first career catch. And it would have been for a touchdown. Craig throws over the middle. He's got it this time to Cash. Well, you said Dave Craig would want to come into the ball game, and he took him downfield for a score.
I think that, you know, as that time of a game, especially where the score where it is, offensively, you know they're going to be laying back. They're going to let you complete things.
And remember, Craig came in last week when Montana was knocked woozy and directed a drive that eventually won the ball game. He is a very valuable commodity. 4th touchdown of the year for Cash, and Lowry is on for the point after.
Good job by David Craig directing traffic on the last one.
You know, Lowry has missed 4 extra points ever. But he's just had such a brilliant career as a place kicker.
See, that not only is the kicker. Most of the time, guys that get kicks blocked, it's because of poor job up front or a problem with the holder. Nick's been blessed to have both good protection and good holds. David Craig goes back. He looks to his right now. Cash is going to come around. See him swinging him. He's waving him. Move over a little more. And that's from our goalpost cam. Right smack dab in the middle. Now he'll direct traffic. See, slide around. Get around Minuski, he says, and I'll fire you the ball.
Great
Nice
job
catch
by David Craig. Of course, we have one more broadcast to bring you, and we will be in the Astrodome in Houston next week. The Houston Oilers will be going for a franchise record 11 straight wins against the New York Jets, who are alive at this point. By the time we get to Houston next Sunday night, they may not be, but right now they're still breathing. The Oilers, of course, going for home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Oh, they lost a heartbreaker in Buffalo today. Missed field goal opportunity with a little over a minute to go.
Certainly had their chance, didn't they?
Winds up losing 16-14. Joe Montana.
He will live to fight another day.
He is a man, not a myth. And he is great. You know, I asked him something very interesting. I said, you know, when you were in San Francisco, you won so much and you became a part of the community. I guess it was easy. It was easier to go out after a while because you weren't this Joe Montana. Oh my goodness! And he said, you know, Kansas City, the people have been wonderful. It's a little bit different, but they love living there.
Onside kick attempt bounces off of Jordan. Audrey McMillan also had a shot at it. Who do you like right now, AFC?
I've liked Houston for the last couple of years. Buddy Ryan has done exactly what I thought he would do for the Houston Oilers. He's given them defensively a nasty attitude. I mean, they dictate tempo, and you saw that against the 49ers yesterday. I like Houston, especially if they play at home.
Who do you like in the NFC?
In the NFC, I still like the Cowboys. I think with Emmett, Michael, and Troy, their defense hasn't played to the standard before, but I still think the Cowboys are the team to beat. An all-Texas Super Bowl.
Gino Torretta is the new Viking quarterback, the Heisman winner out of Miami. He gives to Barry Word. They nearly collided, and Sally Amula will make Word pay for it. Scotty Graham with his second straight 100-yard game, and he just chewed up the Kansas City defense. Marcus Allen, no one for Kansas City posted the big numbers. Jim McMahon with another victory in his pocket. The Vikings are 8-7, and Joe Montana will take Kansas City to its final game next week. The final score, Minnesota 30, Kansas City 10. For Joe Theismann and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. Good night from Minneapolis. SportsCenter is next after this.